listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton on this first Thursday in February. Thanks so much for being with us on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. How you doing this morning?
I'm doing great, David. Yourself?
You know, I'm doing okay. I have to admit, I'm not getting great sleep. All right, the dog is winning. All right, it's an old bulldog. It's winning. All right, from about 9 o'clock to 1 in the morning, the thing is just being a pain in the you-know-what. Then it sleeps from 1 to 4. So I've got that going for me. I have gotten 3 tremendous hours of sleep leading into the show all week. 3.
Leave the door open.
I have.
No, I meant to outside. Why don't you go for a swim, Rufus?
Yeah, well, that wouldn't last very long. I know that. But, Mark, you know how it is. I mean, your stock as you get older in the household just keeps going down, down, and down. And I'm below the dog now. And so even though the wife is with the daughter and then the new grandchild 5 hours away, that when she comes home, that there's, one thing that needs to be there. And it's not me. It's the dog.
No, you weren't there when she left. She's not sure if you're going to be there when she gets back.
She's just done the whole football season basically without me. You know what the one constant's been?
The dog.
Right. So the dog needs to be there.
Is that the dog's name, Rufus?
Rufus. Daughter named it.
Rufus, the female bulldog.
Right, female.
American bulldog?
No, English.
English bulldog.
A rescue.
Nice.
Yeah. So,
right.
Daughter always wanted one, got really sick about 7-8 years ago, and so we got her the dog. And, of course, the daughter went to college a year and a half later, and we've been stuck with the dog that
ever since.
Yep.
Yep. Now you know the story of Rufus.
Exactly. So that's how my week's going.
Your week is going better than Dolphins' week, though.
Well, I don't know. I mean, you might get a new owner out of the deal. Who knows?
Whose week's gone worse? Bucks, Dolphins, Jags.
Wow. Could the Jags be winning the week?
Right.
Having done
Think
nothing.
about that. The Jags have done nothing, and they're winning the week right now.
It could very well be.
Now, they could still screw it up. We've got time, and it is the Jags after all.
Yes, absolutely.
But Dolphin there is wondering what the hell's going on.
That's first nomination of a poll question today. Who's had a worse week?
The Dolphins or the Bucks?
And just throw the Jags on there too, because Byron Leftwich is still not their coach and Trent Baalke is still their general manager. I have to admit, man, some teams are moving incredibly slowly. I don't understand. This doesn't seem that complicated to me. Businesses all around the world, when they have openings, fill them much more quickly. I mean, come on now. Like, you don't have a short list. I mean, athletic directors have a short list all the time that if a coach gets up and leave, they know exactly what they're going to do, except those ADs that are clueless and they go, well, we need to spend $300,000 on a search firm to do my job for me. I have no idea what that voice is, by the way.
It was very good, though. It was a Muffy. It was very
I don't know.
A lot of Hamptons in that voice right there.
I don't
Places
know.
you've never been.
I don't know if that was Masterpiece Theater or what that was.
Well, it was from a dark pit of despair.
Thank you. We haven't used that this week. That is something we should use every damn day.
I think you're right. And Felipe brings up the phrase, who is in the larger dark pit of despair right now? The Dolphins, the Bucks, or the Jags?
We keep rewording this poll question, and I like it more and more.
Because the Bucks lost Tom Brady.
Yes.
And I could argue the Jags have had, or the Dolphins have had a worse week.
Wow. Wow.
We lost our head coach, and we're about to lose an owner, probably.
Oh, come on now.
Oh, not it's my bad. You know what? I feel ashamed to say we.
Well, it should be $1 every
It's-
time you do it.
Especially
No,
in the
but-
6 o'clock hour. You're starting a little early, Ed.
So, I mean, the Bucks lost Tom Brady.
Tom Brady.
Who had a worse week? Jim Harbaugh apparently is staying at Michigan.
Well, and I will say very quickly on this, and I think I'm with Harbaugh. So the two sides talked at length late last week, and they agreed, hey, let's do the in-person thing on Wednesday. And based on reports, and I'm going to say that, you know what, I'm going to agree with these reports, that a few reporters said, well, Harbaugh kind of expected to show up and talk and be offered the job. I mean, the guy worked with him in San Francisco for 2 years. He has a track record. I mean, Harbaugh figured we did the preliminary thing. I'm going to come and we're going to talk. And apparently the Vikings were just bringing him in and treating him the same way they were treating Giants defense coordinator Patrick Graham and Raheem Morris and the Rams offensive coordinator. And that Harbaugh, according to a couple of reports that I saw, was just kind of looking around like, so you're not going to offer me the job today? It's kind of what I got on the plane. I kind of figured, you know who I am. I've got a resume, by the way. I just 11 wins a year.
And you know the
for 4
good
years.
and the bad.
Right. Yeah. And then you apparently, still want me. And I'm ready. I'm ready. By me getting on the plane and coming here, I'm ready to leave Michigan. Let's go. Let's do this. And the Vikings were like, well, we got one more interview and we'll get back to you. And apparently Harbaugh said, no.
I actually heard people in this business say that when Harbaugh lands back in Ann Arbor, they can tell him we're done. Like, people actually believed, important people, national people, that Michigan should be giving Jim Harbaugh an ultimatum. I thought it was as laughable as you did. I'm like, did he just beat Ohio State and go to the college football playoffs? That's what you hired him for.
I mean,
and not to mention, he's turned down every single offer and every rumor since he's been there.
Right. It's the only one
He's been
pursued.
so transparent throughout this whole process, telling recruits, I'm going to listen. I'd be the first guy to be able to pile on Jim Harbaugh if it was
Sure.
there. There's nothing there, David.
Plus, not only that, these national people don't fully understand he's a Michigan man. That's important there. That's really important to them.
Right. In the whole National Signing Day, his class was already signed.
Yeah, and it's top 10. And he's been honest with everybody. It's another reason why I could see where Harbaugh was like, wait, so you're not offering me the job today? Because then he could have said, well, we could have done this yesterday. I mean, this is not the best look for me on signing day to be here interviewing for another job. I mean, apparently, if this was just part of your process, we could have done this process on a different day than this one. Harbaugh released a statement as soon as the reports came out. He was so complimentary of the Vikings and the new GM and just raved about them, while saying, he's happy to be returning to Ann Arbor and the university that he loves.
But Stephen Ross has his own problems, and I think hiring Harbaugh would have been an easy hire.
Oh, my goodness!
Taken away some of the problems that are going on.
Some of the problems?
No, I wouldn't have taken away all of them. I mean, he has been accused of trying to fix games, essentially.
Yes.
That's not going away by hiring Jim Harbaugh. But a lot of the problems would have gone away, or at least been pushed to the side.
Yeah, pushed to the side. Because, we know how the NFL does the investigating. I mean, all right, here's another poll question. Who does a better job of investigating? And in parentheses, we go, and by better, we mean not at all. NCAA, NFL.
Oh, starting a little early here.
We are. We are, but the material's too damn good, Mark.
It really is.
It's too damn good. But yes, I mean, the Bucs did lose Tom Brady this week. That seems a big loss. And yet, I mean, I can't make the case they've had the best week, but Jacksonville is still clueless and rudderless and all that, and Miami is having the week of weeks.
There isn't a time, really and truly, David, between now and whenever the Jags win a game, that the Jags are going to have the best week. They could be second just because somebody else screwed up more. But I really don't think that there's a way for them to be first.
No, I think the Jags could win the week by doing absolutely nothing. By looking clueless, I think the Jags could win the week in state. It's been a rough week. And once again, if you're a Dolphin fan, you're going, hold on a second. So Harbaugh was ready to take the Vikings job? He got on that plane basically saying, I am putting college football behind me? Why in the world are we not hiring him?
Because Stephen Ross cares more about the University of Michigan's football team than he does the Miami Dolphins football team.
Well, and certainly based on what Brian Flores is saying, you
undeniable at this point.
Can't argue with that. Here's my thing, and if you're new to Miller and Moulton, this is our third act. We've been doing this 15 plus years, and we established pretty early on in Act 1 that, especially it's my belief, but I believe Mark is at least halfway down the runway that I'm on, which is if you're innocent and somebody makes a claim, a charge, or what have you against you, you stop whatever you are doing, wherever you are, and you go find a microphone, a camera and a microphone. Not hard to do these days. And you scream from the mountaintop.
Hey, look, and a lot of people don't like him. David Portnoy from Barstool has obviously been in trouble a few times.
He has a few, yes, off-the-field issues.
Off-the-field issues. And they came at him again in the last couple of weeks. The first thing he does is turns his phone around, hits record, and files emergency press conferences that he immediately releases.
Now, obviously, they can backfire on you if you say something false.
But if you're telling the truth, it won't.
Correct. And Brian Flores on, was it Monday or Tuesday? Monday, right?
2 days ago.
So Tuesday.
We had Tom Brady retire.
Right. Oh,
Flores go scorched earth.
Right. So it was midday Tuesday.
Right.
It took until about midnight last night for Stephen Ross to respond. It took 36 hours. Think about that. I don't care where he was. I don't care if he was halfway around the world. Boss, yeah, do me a favor. Turn your phone on. Turn a TV on. All right. Yeah, really. Google yourself. All right. And then just send your response to us. Yes, just hold the have somebody hold the camera up. Just look right into your phone. Just say whatever's on your mind. I mean, wouldn't you have done that?
Yes.
I mean, 36 hours previously, he accused you of essentially trying to fix games in the wrong way.
Put it this way. Hugh Jackson said similar things that the Browns did. The Browns responded in a much more quicker and efficient time frame than did the Dolphins of who the accusation was named against.
Yeah, they responded within 4 hours and basically said, Jane, you ignorant slut.
We don't believe them.
Well, no, I gotta be honest with you. Hugh Jackson seems like a bit of a clown. And I think Hugh's just trying to justify 1-31. Now, the owner's a crook, all right, and it's been proven. But, I mean, Hugh's track record is dubious.
Yeah, I believe the fact that
Haslam.
That I think this is not the... Put it this way. I do not believe the Miami Dolphins are the first team to incentivize a group of coaches who are in a rebuild mode. Now, you could lay that a lot of different ways. They could give motives saying, hey, here we had a plan. I appreciate you guys sticking with the plan. Not saying that they're trying to lose, but I know this is hard with a roster like this. I don't think this is the first time it's happened.
Miller and Moulton. Yesterday was the second National Letter of Intent Day in the recruiting period. We've got a couple of guests to talk about everything that has gone on. Jimbo Fisher went a little scorched earth. We have the reporter who asked the question to get him to go a little scorched earth to join us on the show. You're not going to believe this. I got us a soccer guest. Yeah, little U.S. men's national team. If for no other reason, then it was 0 and they played soccer. Who the hell books a soccer match on February 2nd in St. Paul, Minnesota?
David, it was for travel. They had just got done playing in Hamilton, Ontario.
Really? You can't make it to Orlando? I mean,
I'm just telling you what the reasons behind this were.
There's direct flights to the mouse from everywhere. Miller and Moulton. Lot to kick around on this first Thursday in February, and thank you for joining us here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Would you be able to turn my computer on for a second?
Yeah.
Biggest misconception out there relative to what actually is going on?
No funds or all these things that people were talking about, and the high school kids for sure. Players and your team, they do get those things. We were one of the low ones. I mean, if I remember right, it was Nick who brought up his quarterback got $1 million deal. I mean, and that was great. Ohio State put out an article that they had the highest NIL deals of anybody in the country, which is legal. It's all legal. It's fine. But that had nothing to do with this class or anything else in which it went on. This was hard work by our staff. And I say it's insulting to the kids who come here that you insinuate that. And people insinuate that if things were taken off a message board, Bro Bible by a guy named Sliced Bread, whoever the heck that is, who has no clue about what goes on. But NIL is here to stay in college football. It's going to be a factor in college football. There is no doubt in the future going forward. And so in the transfer portal. So it's here to stay. But those reports and the things that people say are very irresponsible. And then people need to figure out the truth before they do it.
Thank you. '70 Sports tweeted out the starting lineups of the finals between the Lakers and the Pistons. You can tell me the NBA is better now, but I'm not accepting that bullshit. Aguirre, Mahorn, Lambeer, Thomas, Dumars against Worthy, AC Green, Jabbar, Magic, and Cooper.
Mm-hmm.
You were offered Super Bowl tickets for $30,000?
Mm-hmm.
Seriously?
Yeah. Guys got it on 27, basically. I rounded it up. Did you hear what the suites are going for?
No.
Like 16, 18 people suites. They're at SoFi. 1.2 for the game.
I saw the tweet, but where are the seats?
They're in not lower bowl, but second section. I mean, they're good seats.
Yeah, like by 50-yard line.
No, I think they're more like 30-yard line.
Okay, still really good seats.
Yeah, especially that place.
And wait, 30,000 a pop?
No,
2 tickets, 30,000.
yeah, 15 each. And what I wondered was, now obviously, I don't have a rooting interest in the game. All right, I'm married with a kid, and
Right.
But I said if I was mid-20s and single, and I was a Bengals fan,
Yeah,
in particular. I mean, it had been 33 years.
You see what Chad Johnson tweeted?
No.
He tweeted like a price listing of all the seats in the bowl. And he goes, how are diehard fans supposed to go and represent their teams with ticket prices?
They don't.
Like this?
Yeah, well,
They never have. Thanks,
don't.
Ocho. Welcome to the
I know.
world.
And I'm like,
I mean, the Super Bowl's never been for the
It's-
fans of
yeah,
the team. It
it's-
never has. At least not in 20 years.
it's the biggest game. Oh my gosh. One of my friends yesterday said, would you spend $900 for a Super Bowl ticket? I was like,
It's face value.
yeah.
Yeah, but that's yeah.
I mean,
That's not secondary market. And this is a big stadium. I mean, this one holds
like 70,000.
I think more like mid-70s. I mean, this is a big stadium.
Yeah.
By NFL
It
standards.
looks huge.
Yeah. It's really nice.
Yeah.
Got great food.
Oh, I bet you it's expensive too.
It's funny. There's a concourse area right behind the network booth, at a big area, and food. They serve food on both ends of it,
Mm-hmm.
and they serve
10
the
seconds.
booze in the middle of it, and it was all free Sunday.
Wow.
Yeah.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"23 minutes past the hour, top of the morning to you. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. So I took to Twitter yesterday, besides to make the announcement about, becoming a granddad and all that. But then somebody who has followed our show for a long time sent an email and said, hey, I've got 2 tickets to the Super Bowl. And believe it or not, I can get X on the secondary market. And he said, I can get 13 and change probably for each ticket.
Okay.
And he said, but, before I do that, do you want them, or anybody want them? And I said, want them as in and he goes, no. You pay the going rate. And I'm like, yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. But then I just said, I'm going to throw this out there. Would you pay 5 figures for a Super Bowl ticket if you were a Bengals fan?
You're asking that part of the question, and I'm not trying to be a jerk here. If it were a national championship and it was Michigan State,
right?
Give me something that's in my wheelhouse. I still wouldn't do it.
Okay,
that's obscene.
It is. It's a ridiculous amount of money, but there's people out there who have it, and to them, it's the equivalent of us paying $300.
Gotcha. I don't have that obscene kind of money. If I did, David, God, yes, would I? I'd buy 4. We'd all go. We'd have a blast.
So, I got to thinking about where I was in life in the pursuit of happiness 30 years ago, mid-20s. And I didn't have money, and I'm working 3 jobs, and I'm just trying to get my feet, planted in this business and all that. But I'm thinking about if you grew up in the greater Cincinnati area, this has not happened in your lifetime. And I know you think you've got the next Joe Montana, but come on now, this is sports. You have no idea when this is going to happen again. When Dan Marino and the Dolphins went in his second season, Was there a Dolph fan alive that you could have convinced? By the way, this is the only one Dan's going to. I mean, this is Joe Burrow's second season. I mean, it is possible. I mean, Aaron Rodgers hasn't been in the game in 11 years. They've won a lot of games in the 11 years since they went to and won the Super Bowl. You know, we talked about it many times. The age that Rodgers and Roethlisberger were when they played in that Super Bowl was like 27 and 28 years old, and neither quarterback or team has gone back to the game since. But, and I know I get it. $12,000, $13,000, $15,000 for a ticket, plus you got to fly out there and where you're going to stay, the whole deal. I get it. But, I mean, this is the Super Bowl.
No, I got you. David, I mean, it is, you're doing a better sell job than you did in the 10 years you worked in this building trying to sell advertising. You're trying. I see it. I appreciate it. You almost have me listening. But there is such a, and you know what? There's people listening right now on 30 grand. Like you said, there's an incredible amount of wealth out there right now. There are people who are, you know, buying houses all over Florida for obscene amounts of money. And you go, where the hell's it all come from?
Sight unseen.
It's not from me.
Right.
So I can't even fathom spending that kind of money on tickets. And if I were to spend it, and I've been to the Masters, I would spend it on one of two events, Augusta or Churchill Downs. And that's it.
Okay, fair enough.
So, you know, you want to hit me where the big money, that's
but that's
where I can do it.
But for someone else, it could be their team in the Super Bowl, especially a team that, like, this just happens to be the Bengals. You know, I'll hit some people in their wheelhouse. You're a Lions fan. You're a Browns fan. When that day comes, I mean, and I get it. It's a lot of money. I don't have it. I don't. Now, I mean, I've got it in savings, but it's not disposable. I mean, put it this way. If I took the money out and did it, I wouldn't have a home to come back to.
Well, that's what someone did say in the Twitch chat room. If you use the granddaughter's college fund for this, you're coming back to a different lock and key. I sent your question very quickly to my two friends who are diehard Bengals fans. The one is on his fifth text to me on a running stream of consciousness, trying to figure out how he can come up with 15 grand to go to the game.
See, that's what I mean.
Because it started with, if I had that kind of money, yes. And I mean that kind of money. No chance in my tax bracket. But responds with, my tax bracket max would be $5K for this game.
Okay.
And says probably the last time for the Bengals. Even with Burrow, you never know, man.
Right. 33 years. 33 years. I mean, Mo Egger, who 1530 ESPN in Cincinnati, the voice of sports in Cincinnati. He was 8 last went. He's in his early 40s, and outside of his family, it's the happiest time of his life. Life. I mean,
your life.
Thank you, Vern. I mean, what is it that you are living for, if not this? What in your life gives you this much joy, if not this?
Gymnastics twice a week, softball twice a week. You know, joy, David. Joy.
The other thing, Mark, is that, I mean, yes, it's $30,000 for the 2 tickets. Who knows? Maybe you can just go yourself and sell the other one and probably get 20 of it back.
Would never, ever recommend that for anybody. And I only say that because you were kind enough to bring me along for a couple of games a few years back. And I would never do it again unless I could bring a wingman. Going to great football games with 1 ticket sucks. It's cool, but you have no one to share it with. I would never recommend that for someone to go to a Super Bowl by themselves.
I'll tell you what, if it was 30 grand, but you could also, I would literally say to the person, I go, you find me a place to stay and include it in the 30 and I'll make it happen. Because I'll find somebody to go it half for me. And I'm trying to think if I was like a 25-year-old Bengals fan and I'm not married, you know, I've got a girlfriend, but you know, I maybe
you wouldn't have one when you got back if you didn't take her.
That's not true. I mean,
you didn't take her.
What? No, not true at all. Okay, not true at all. But
You're spending what?
hey, it's not your money. All right, it's not your money. This is not your thing. This is my thing. I'm treating myself, and by
No.
treating, I mean till I'm 50. This is it.
No ring on this finger.
Well, just don't worry, honey. I'll have
Yeah.
enough left over.
You have a nice weekend. I'm going to go to Jamaica with friends.
Well, listen, when I'm going to the bank and I'm getting a loan, I throw 5 on top of it to take care of the jewelry. So there you go. In fact, that's probably what I do. I propose. All right. And then I go, by the way, I'm out of town next weekend. Well, where are you going? LA? Yeah, I got Super Bowl tickets. Wow. What'd that cost you? Don't worry about it.
Gift from a friend.
Right. I mean, if you propose first, probably doesn't even ask a lot of questions. So that's all. Just wanted to throw that out there. I know it sounds crazy. Most of us middle-class people, check to check, month to month, that sort of deal. Maybe you got a little money in savings. You may even have the money in savings, but it's not really yours. You know what I mean? But just imagine. Just imagine. It's you root for a team like the Bengals. Couple of generations go by. You finally get in this game. You think this may never happen again.
Right? And David, I appreciate you bringing this up. I really do. I do question the person that called you and really thought that you had $30,000 to buy 2 tickets.
Well,
Who on you folks that think we actually make a living doing this job? You guys are cute.
Mark,
$30,000.
This goes all back to you and I weren't even teamed up yet. And I was talking about not making a whole lot of money doing this. And we had phones, and a person called in and said, "What do you mean you're not making a whole lot of money doing this?" And I did something I've never done. I said, "Tell you what, take a guess as to how much I make." I go, "And if you're in the ballpark, I'll actually tell you what I make." And I'm doing local TV in Fort Myers, Florida.
Right.
And I'm doing a 2-hour afternoon radio show.
Right.
And the person nearly 20 years ago, without hesitation, says $700,000. Right. And after laughing for a long
be in the fetal position in the corner for this whole commercial break.
And I, after laughing for a long period of time, said, I would kill someone if you took a 0 off that to make that much money.
And we still would. Miller and Moulton. Have I asked to subscribe to Twitch yet today?
Well, that'll help make that monty
we can get those tickets by the end of the day at the rate this is going,
That's
David.
Right. Just subscribe, Miller and Moulton.
Twitch.tv/Miller and Moulton. We'll be at the Super Bowl in no time. Right here on the Florida Sports Network. Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Who's had the worst week?
Who's had a worse week? Dolphins, Bucks.
Who's had the worst week? Dolphins, Bucks, and then Jags. Okay, 50 days and without a coach.
Problem is you can't explain enough in the poll question. There's just not enough characters.
Jags, still no coach.
I might be able to do it in the question. Let's see how much room I have.
Which Florida NFL team is in the darkest pit of despair? That's one way to phrase it. Which Florida sports team is which Florida NFL team is in the darkest pit of despair?
Oh,
Also, if you had that kind of money, what car would you drive? What's your dream car?
my dream car
Mm-hmm.
is a convertible Mercedes.
Coupe. Convertible Mercedes coupe.
Yep.
Would you drive a coupe or a Maybach?
I don't know. It'd be red. That's all I know.
Badass. Give me a souped up Ford Bronco. Like OJ. Modern OJ.
Yeah, see, like Chris says here, I mean, if the Dolphins made the Super Bowl, I'd be looking at the equity in my house and really considering it. And that's what I'm talking about.
That would be.
I mean,
I'd go to a Dolphins Super Bowl if I could.
you could 30 grand.
I wouldn't pay 30 grand
Well,
for a
David?
Super Bowl.
Which Florida NFL, whoops, I didn't have team there, is having the best week?
Best?
Best or
You want
worst?
to put worst week?
Yeah, I think worse.
Okay, worst week. All right. Jags, 50 days, no coach yet, in parentheses. Bucks, Brady retired. Dolphins, ex-coach suing and say the team paid him to tank.
Like it.
Because then I can just list the teams underneath. This
Florida's down bad right now.
I'll tell you what, David. I don't know what they charge on Comcast, but $40 for the rest of the NHL season's already been worth it.
It's a steal.
Like, watch Caps and Pens, wife happy last night. Watch the Wings and Kings. They're not letting anybody in Detroit either.
What?
I mean, 25%.
Oh no, really?
There's David. This wasn't a crowd. You know what I mean? Like,
That's ridiculous.
Paul, I would want tickets, but not for that price.
Well, but I mean, yeah, everybody would want tickets. It's not would you want the tickets? Here you
would
go.
pay?
Your team, which never wins, is in the Super Bowl. 2 tickets, $30,000. Would you do it? Yeah, I know it's a lot of money. I don't have it.
By the way,
We all understand.
LA, another thing, it's probably the most expensive trip. That or Vegas.
No, Vegas wouldn't be.
No, Vegas wouldn't be.
LA is more expensive. Yeah, you're right.
San Francisco would probably be more expensive.
I would want to drive to it. Like if it's in Atlanta or New Orleans, hell yeah.
So you can stay in your car?
Okay, I got to be honest. All right. It's in the United States of America. You will get to the game.
Okay, then I'll drive
I mean,
Miami to LA.
I mean, airfare is not the problem. It really isn't.
But don't I mean, I could be wrong, I don't know, but do the rates of flights increase Super Bowl weekend?
No, they increase the closer you get to the date. Look
Uh,
at right now. Let's see. I'll even tell you: Miami to Atlanta, Miami to LA flights.
I mean, with all due respect, you're paying 30 grand for the ticket.
Yeah.
You're really you're going to
Now
grind.
you're worried about
You're
flights,
grinding
right.
over airfare.
It's just extra cost.
I mean, if you're coming up with the 30 grand for the ticket, come up with an extra 5,000 for
All right,
everything else.
we're coming back.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes before the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, Bud Elliott to join us in about 15 minutes time as we look back on National Letter of Intent Day and how everybody has fared here during the 2 NLI signing dates and the transfer portal and that sort of thing. But right now it is time for
The starting 5 5 stories you need to know. It's the starting 5 on Miller and Moulton. Here's number 1.
Well, Jim Harbaugh's staying. He interviewed with the Vikings, and before he got on the plane to fly back to Ann Arbor, he called Michigan and said, yeah, I'm staying. The Vikings then reportedly hired Rams offensive coordinator Kevin O'Connell. They can't announce it until after the Super Bowl. By the way, this just in, that's another young white guy. 3 finalists, all right, 2 black guys and a young white guy. And guess who got the job?
The young white guy.
Roger Goodell probably got on the phone and go, please hire Raheem Morris. Man, this is a bad look. 4 jobs still available: Miami, Jacksonville, New Orleans, and Houston. Bills hired Joe Brady to be their quarterback coach. Ron Rivera, by the way, said Brian Flores deserves another head coaching job on merit alone. Hugh Jackson.
He had back-to-back winning season with the Miami Dolphins.
Right. Haven't been done in a generation.
I mean, just stop right there.
Right. And most of you hate his quarterback. He did it with a terrible quarterback, according to most of you. Hugh Jackson, who did a fine job when he was head coach of the Browns 5 years ago. I mean, it went 1-31 in a 2-year span. He says, the Browns are kind of offering the stuff that Stephen Ross was offering Brian Flores. Browns immediately came out and categorically denied it, and then Hugh kind of amended what it is he had to say. Stephen Ross took about 36 hours. He finally responded to Brian Flores' allegations. I hope he was napping the entire time.
I am a man of character and integrity.
Right. I'm sorry. Are you talking about yourself? Ross called the Flores allegations, quote, false, unquote. College football, National Letter of Intent Day 2 was yesterday. Texas A&M, the consensus number 1 class, and it wasn't close. And they did land a 5-star defensive end out of Miami yesterday who chose them over Georgia and the Canes. Jimbo Fisher then ripped, quote, irresponsible, unquote, critics. And he also ripped Lane and Nick Saban and the media.
And Ohio State.
And he had a thinly veiled threat in which he said, hey, listen, I know what you're all doing in recruiting too. All right? So behave yourselves, basically. Okay. Here's my favorite part, Mark. Right now, it is up for open bidding to get a recruit, and it's all legal. But you know how you get in trouble with the NCAA now, Mark? It's not for paying players. That's just the going rate. There's a recruiting dead period. Whatever you do, don't contact a recruit during the dead period. And under Herm Edwards, Arizona State, a year ago, apparently was recruiting during the dead period. Well, they've now had 5 assistant coaches who have had to resign because of NCAA inquiry, and a lot of people don't think Herm's going to survive this. Of course, the reason why you and I have always thought Herm was going to survive this is his former agent is the AD at Arizona State.
Correct.
So trust me, if Herm's going down, so's his buddy.
Really hurting the timetable I had on this school being the power that I thought they could be. They were doing everything right. NFL guys paying people. I mean, they had it going on.
Right.
A lot of students, a lot of money. I've always said Arizona State as a team and a school that I think could get on the sports map pretty quickly if they wanted to.
Antonio Pierce was the connection to the California pipeline. He was the AAU Southern California scene. Now he's going to go back and coach in the NFL. NCAA accusing Arizona State of, quote, illicit recruiting practices. And I would think a Pac-12 school seeing that and going, really?
It's so laughable.
Right. Wait. I'm sorry. We called potential recruits in May when we weren't supposed to, and that's illicit recruiting practices? Really? Do you know what's going on elsewhere? They're driving Brinks trucks down the street and stopping and handing recruits bags in open view. And we're doing something wrong? College hoops. Purdue beat Minnesota by 15. That's the 4th-ranked Boilermakers. Illini won the Big Ten showdown with Wisconsin.
Yeah, that Coburn had a big night.
Oh, he did 37.
37 last night.
80-67, the 18th-ranked Fighting Illini over the 11th-ranked Badgers. We said take Marquette and the points. They never trailed in an 83-73 home win over Villanova. Kentucky, Houston, Xavier, all ranked, all won. Gators come from 10 down and beat Missouri 66-65. Knowles lose at Clemson by 6. Canes get beat at home by Notre Dame 68-64.
Maybe there's a reason they weren't ranked.
Have you heard about what's going on at Stony Brook? My guess is no, because it's Stony Brook. See, Stony Brook is in the American East Conference.
Right.
And they announced a few months ago that they were leaving at the end of the year for the Colonial. Well, the American East Conference has a rule that says if you do something like that, we can vote to ban you from all remaining conference tournaments. Well, last year, Hartford announced they were leaving the American East Conference, but they announced they were dropping down from D1 to D3. And the American East Conference said, well, then you can, you finish out the year playing all the conference tournaments. We wish you the best. Well, Stony Brook thought that they would do then the same to them. No, they voted yesterday. You guys can't play in all sports in any of our conference tournaments. So the only way any of these Stony Brook teams, and Stony Brook is second in the conference in men's hoops right now.
Yeah, good for the conference.
Seriously?
Yeah, you want to stop this? No. I mean, look, I think all these conferences, either you kick them out right now. They're jumping out of the conference.
But, I mean, does it really hurt the conference this year if Stony Brook is their representative in the NCAA tournaments? I mean,
Does it hurt the conference? No, but it doesn't help the remaining members the way it would if one of them was represented. I have no issue with this whatsoever. I don't have a problem with Conference USA and the Sun Belt and these guys have been playing these games with one another. No. You want to leave for greener pastures? Bye.
You do know you're screwing the kids here. I mean, honestly. I mean, they're the ones who now are not going to be able to play in NCAA tournaments. I mean, the conference still gets the money. If Stony Brook were to win the conference and go to the tournament, all the money from the NCAA appearance would go to the conference.
I know. I understand.
All right. I disagree with you on that. I think it's ridiculous. All right. 9 games in the NBA yesterday. There were some upsets. I mean, Orlando went on the road and won. Magic can't beat anybody. Beat Indiana, who's not very good. But Washington went into Philly and beat the Sixers. Cleveland lost in Houston. Houston had lost 11 straight at home. And OKC went into Dallas and beat the Mavs. I mean, it was a strange night in the NBA. Memphis whooped the Knicks in the Garden. They're pretty good. John Morant is amazing right now. And the Celtics are starting to figure it out. 113-107 at home over Charlotte. And the Nets have lost 6 in a row. Just throwing that out there. There were 5 games, Mark, in the NHL last night. All 5 road teams won.
Watched 2 of them.
Edmonton beat Washington. Yep. Seattle shut out the Islanders. The Kings beat the Wings. The Wild shut out the Blackhawks 5-0, and Calgary doubled up Arizona 4-2. That's strange, though. Road teams go 5-0.
Tough day all around for the Blackhawks.
Oh, well, they're having a rough year. You got the sexual abuse, not just allegations, but, everybody gets fired and they get fined and they really screwed up. The team sucks.
Yeah, then they had an open house town hall in which an athletic reporter asked what they are doing going forward. I thought a fair question, given everything that happened with this it Birch or Beach or where the young man that was abused. Given everything that's happened going forward, what have you set up? What have you done to make sure it doesn't happen again? And Rocky Wirtz, the owner of the Blackhawks, teed off on this guy.
Right, went scorched earth on him. Yep. None of your damn business. You don't work here. We're not telling you what we're doing.
I mean, so much so that they had to issue the press release apology a few hours later.
I'm sorry. Not really, but
I've got to issue this because I looked back at what I said and I look stupid.
Yes, you do. Man, this social media thing's not a good look. Ovechkin, by the way, out of the All-Star game, which is this weekend in Vegas. He's out. He's got COVID. U.S. men's national team in sub-zero temperatures in St. Paul, Minnesota last night.
It was 3 degrees at the start.
Okay. That's not wind chill, you know.
No.
I've lived out there.
I know.
Just so you know. There's never
That's Fahrenheit.
There's never a non-windy day. I mean, the wind comes directly down off of the North Pole, just so you know. It's what we call in the biz a cool breeze. The United States got a goal in the 8th minute, 2 first-half goals. Pulisic came off the bench in the second half. He scored. The U.S. beat Honduras 3-0. They're in second place in the group. Top 3 qualify for the World Cup. They're not going to play for the rest of the month. They're going to play 3 matches in March. Figure if they win 2 of them, we're in all likelihood. So there you go. Finally, golf, PGA Tour. Today they're in Pebble. And meanwhile, LPGA Tour's in Fort Myers. No fans allowed at the event. It's a makeup tournament for a tournament that got canceled in Australia. Be interesting to see whether or not the LPGA, which used to be in Southwest Florida 20 years ago for a regular tour event, now they have their tour championship there. But whether or not a regular tour event returns to one of the best golf markets in the country. And Mark, the Olympics are underway.
Yeah, there was curling action already going on, David.
Mixed doubles curling.
Lillehammer 94.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you're new to Miller and Moulton, there is no bigger curling fan alive than Mark Miller.
Sweet.
Stopped him in his tracks. We were doing the show from his house in our second act, and I lost him for segments at a time because he was just staring with his mouth agape at the television watching curling.
You know, many of you will be upset with NBCSN going away that you can't watch the auctions of automobiles in the afternoon.
Right.
I'll be upset because curling night in America is now gone.
What's their Peacock, right? Apparently, all this stuff's on Peacock.
Yep.
Got to pay for it.
Yes, you do.
And I think there's a Peacock Plus.
Well, that's that's the part you pay for. Peacock free, Peacock Plus costs.
Just listen, be careful. Don't say that too fast.
It's the only time I'm saying it today.
I was going to say, I need you. So also women's hockey is underway. Canada's already won 12-1, and the U.S. is about to play Finland or somebody here in a couple hours. Miller and Moulton.
And that is?
That was the starting 5 every weekday morning at this time on Miller and Moulton.
So there you have it. A lot of this and that going on in the sports world right now. A lot of nuggets. You know how we feel about nuggets, both in the sports world and the real world. They are delicious. Miller and Moulton. Bud Elliott will join us next hour right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
We've hit the divisional round of the NFL playoffs, and DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL, still has huge cash prizes up for grabs.
This week, new customers can get on the game and play free for millions with their first deposit. There are only a few weeks of football left, So draft your squad now.
Playing daily fantasy football simple. Just pick your lineup of NFL stars, staying under the salary cap, and score enough points to bring home cash.
And with a free shot at millions of dollars in total prizes, you'll feel the action of the divisional round like never before.
DraftKings, safe, secure, and reliable. Best of all, you can deposit and withdraw your cash whenever you want.
Download the DraftKings app now and use the promo code M&M to play free for millions. That's right. Enter promo code M&M to get a free shot at millions in total prizes with your first deposit. Get in the action for the divisional round only at DraftKings, the official daily fantasy partner of the NFL.
Minimum $5 deposit required. Eligibility restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com for details.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Okay, my understanding is it is not hard to remove something from a computer and replace it with something else.
It's not, and that's my bad. I removed it on the previous hour, but I forgot about the
Oh,
last
okay.
commercial break.
Is it in there again?
No, it won't be.
Okay.
Minus 24, huh, Mots? That's lovely.
You learn to live with like 0, 3, 5 below.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Mots, David was in Fargo for how long?
5 years.
Okay.
But then there's once it starts getting like high teens below 0 and then anything more. That's when you're like, oh, okay. This is a whole new element here. That's a whole new level.
Bots, I guess my only question is that Moulton lived there a long time ago when, now with the fracking and industry and things are a little busier there than they were.
Mm-hmm.
David is not claimed. I know it's because we did it in Saginaw, for crying out loud. But basically, everybody leaves their car running at the store.
They did when I was there.
Yeah, no, like I said, I don't deny because we did in Saginaw, but 20 years, people have. So is it still a parking lot full of running cars in the wintertime? Or as you call it, all the time?
Right. Damnedest thing I ever saw.
And what the hell do we have two people in our audience doing in Fargo? I mean, at Paul in Fargo yesterday, unless he's just looking up weather. Is that this weekend, right? No.
What? No, it's next Thursday, I believe.
Okay. Oh, that's right.
Curling mornings. Apparently, DC, the interview went fine. Harbaugh just thought he was being brought there to be offered the job. And when they said no, I mean.
There you go. Bot says people leave their cars on at the bar. That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's amazing. Best gift I ever gave myself was the automatic car starter in Fargo. Set it on a timer. It'll run for 20 minutes. It kicks the defrost on as well. So you get in, your engine's warm, your car's warm, your windows have defrosted. It was awesome.
I've got that on my truck here. I'm going to use it a lot in the summer for the air conditioning.
Right, exactly. When I was there, it was like I wasn't there very long. I went out after the show to get some food at the grocery store, and there's 30 cars all running in the parking lot. The hell?
With no one in them.
Yeah, completely dark. Right. I asked the lady behind the register. She explained, and I went, oh. She goes, whatever you do, don't lock your doors.
30 seconds.
Right. They'll freeze up.
Right. I go, what the hell are you talking about? Of course you lock your car. Oh, no. Johnny Mac, if the Vikings make the Super Bowl again, trust me, I could unload these 2 tickets for $30,000 in 3 minutes or less.
10 seconds.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
And a half past the hour, top of the morning to you. How the heck are you? Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network. The Florida Sports Network. We already got a poll question up, so we're ahead of the game this morning. It's been a hell of a week, hasn't it, for the Florida NFL teams? I mean, the Jags, they had a head start on everybody. They still don't have a coach. I mean, we're coming up on 50 days since they got rid of Urban Meyer. They did nothing. No coach. One of 4 teams right now without a coach. Of course, the Bucs lost Tom Brady. I mean, in the grand scheme of things, that's a big loss. He was really good still. Iconic. Felt like, oh, we got Tom Brady. We're going to win. We're a Super Bowl contender, baby. I don't care what our cap situation is. We got TB12. Well, and then there's what's going on in Miami with the Dolphins, in which, I mean, even the NFL had to come out yesterday and said, all right, there's no racism here. All right, there's no racism in the National Football League. That is ridiculous what he's claiming. But we really are going to have to look into these other things.
Because the racism issue we don't have. We just have one black coach out of 32.
Right. No. We do not. No, that's absurd to even bring it up. But this whole Stephen Ross may have been, offering $100,000 per loss as an incentive. That, even us, the National Football League, even we can't let that slide by.
You want to text the show? It's very simple. Text the keyword FSN Radio, all one word, to 21,000, and then you can text as much or as little as you'd like. Like the people not wanting to fork over that kind of cash. I will say, you offered in the first hour. Someone offered you 2 tickets to the Super Bowl, wanted $30,000 for them.
You're right, and that's, by the way, 15 each. It's not 30 per ticket. I just want to make sure everybody realizes it's 30. They're very good seats. They're like 30-yard line. Not the lowest bowl, but the second level. And SoFi is a 7-level stadium, so they're really good seats.
Really good seats. That's apparently the going rate. This person says, Bengals fan would love to go. Wife would kill me if they win. It's a tattooed Bengals logo, however.
Okay. There you go.
He's making it permanent. Another Bengals fan said I wouldn't pay more than $2,000 for a ticket. You wouldn't get into the game.
Right. That's all.
And many people using our phrase that Miami is in a dark pit of despair.
But since the Bengals are in it, I felt it was a good question to ask. A fan base that doesn't experience a lot of success, only their 3rd time ever in the game, first time since the Reagan administration that they are in the game. All right. Like Vikings. I mean, I have a lot of friends still from the upper Midwest that I keep in contact with and what have you. They have not been to the game in 45 years. I'm telling you right now, if the Vikings make a Super Bowl, I can unload 2 tickets to the Super Bowl for $30,000 in less than 10 minutes. And I would have multiple offers. No doubt in my mind. And everybody that I know makes about the same amount of money as me or less. And they would say, absolutely, I'll figure it out. I'll go to the bank. I'll get a loan. I'll spend the next 10 years of my life paying it off. Vikings in a Super Bowl? Done.
We've got our poll question up, David. First off, yesterday's poll question with TB12 retiring, what happens to the Bucs going forward? Remain a contender, become average, return to being the Bucs. That was the winner. Just over half of the voters said return to being the Bucs, and 6 in 100 said they remain a contender. I believe for next year they remain a contender. I truly do.
Huh. Look at you. Gut feeling. Who's their quarterback?
I have no idea. But I don't know who the quarterback is in New Orleans. I don't know who it is in Carolina, and I know who it is in Atlanta. And with that being said, the Tampa Bay Bucs will remain a contender. I did get the call yesterday from the ticket office.
Well, I got to admit, that's pretty bold of them.
I thought I have to hand it to the Bucs. No, and I'm being 100% serious. I worked in the front office of a minor league hockey team, certainly not an NFL team like the Bucs, but there's nothing more painful than having to make the phone calls to the season ticket people who have not yet given their deposit.
Right.
You're hoping. You're dialing that number going, come on. Please just say it was an oversight. Please, you're going to renew them. Please don't let me have to beg. We need these season tickets. And so the Bucs called and she just called to check in. And I talked to her. I don't know. I'd say she calls quarterly, my ticket rep. And I said, I'm not going to be renewing my tickets. And she was very matter of fact. She said, you just bought the tickets because of Brady. And I said, yes.
Absolutely.
I said, 100%. I said, and it was great. Yep. And was, very nice. They were great. I said, you did a great job. Your staff has done a great job. But, I didn't say this. I kind of wanted to say, look, I can sit on the sidelines here, wait to see who your quarterback is. And I'm pretty certain I'm going to be able to get better seats.
Well, or at least the same ones.
Right. But I was stunned they called that quickly.
I was too. I thought they'd give it a few days.
Let that marinate just a little bit.
Yeah.
But with that being said, and now that I'm no longer a Tampa Bay Buccaneers season ticket holder.
But could be again soon. All right, here's the question. Give me the quarterback or above they'd have to get for you to pick up the phone and go, you know what? Are those?
Are you serious?
No, yeah.
It's two guys.
Okay.
One's named Russell Wilson. The other's named Aaron Rodgers.
Well, that's what I was wondering. Was there any? Deshaun Watson.
Ooh. Maybe there's three.
That's what I'm wondering. I mean, who do they have to bring in at quarterback for you to pick the phone back up and call that nice young lady and go, hey, are those club seats still available? I figured they were. That's all. Like, I'm guessing Jimmy G wouldn't get it done.
No.
Even though good offensive line, they re-signed Godwin, the wide receiving core is still really good. Wouldn't do it for you, huh?
No.
All right.
But with that being said, today's poll question is with which Florida NFL team is having the worst week? The Jags have gone 50 days with no coach.
Right.
The Bucs had Brady retire, and the Dolphins have an ex-coach suing them and saying the team paid him to tank. So which NFL team is having the worst week? And right now, David, 3 of 4 saying it's the Miami Dolphins.
Let me get this straight. The Bucs have lost Tom Brady.
And they're having a better week than the Dolphins.
Wow. Man.
Think about that for a second.
Damn, that's a bad week. Because to review, the Bucs lost Brady. Man. It is going to be weird next year. I mean, I know it's the National Football League and it's indestructible and it just, the snowball just gets bigger and bigger rolling down the mountain. But come on. I mean, this is going to be weird. I mean, how many of you, when the NBA and you realized, wow, there's no Michael. I mean, I will say this for me. I mean, after Earnhardt died at Daytona, it was really weird for me for a long time to watch NASCAR. I kept looking for the 3-car because I always judged. I was a Rusty Wallace fan. I always judged how he was doing in the race by where he was in relationship to Dale. It's like Nicholas. Every time he played the British Open in the second half of his career, he always looked where Watson was on the leaderboard. That's all he cared about. Where am I in relationship to Watson? If I'm within a handful of strokes of him, I'm doing okay. It's going to be a little weird.
Well, yes, it's going to be. It was weird enough watching him play in a Tampa Bay Bucs uniform.
I don't know. I adjusted to that in about 13 seconds.
You did. The rest of us didn't. I mean, it was just weird. But I think the good news is that, David, we sat here, 4 or 5 years ago and wondered when Brady and Manning and these guys all retire, boy, there's not a lot of quarterbacks there right now. And all of a sudden,
they showed up.
It seems like they've shown up.
Yep.
And that's why I'm not nearly as miffed about this as maybe others are, because we have plenty of guys to turn our time to watch.
I know, but I mean, come on, they're not Tom Brady.
No, they're not.
I mean, there's just something about him. He's a winner. We like winners.
We do.
Most of us aren't. Most of our teams don't win. And I will say he's about as likable a winner as we've really had. You would think that somebody wins that much, all right, we would start to resent them. And that started to happen. And I feel as if he stopped that momentum, if you will, by going to Tampa Bay, bringing Gronk back. And
yeah,
winning.
I don't know if he was likable up until the point that he went to Tampa. Because he was with the evil empire. And he didn't talk much then. We didn't know much about him. He resurrected his likability in Tampa.
See, it's funny. I always looked at Brady the way that and I think a lot of others looked at Jeter. There are a lot of people who don't like the Yankees. No, a lot of people do. But a lot of people don't like the Yankees, but they like Jeter.
Yeah, and I never got the Jeter sense out of Brady the way you did. I love Tom Brady. I shouldn't. Went to Michigan. There's a lot of but you and I are of the same ilk.
Right.
He's great. We like greatness.
Right.
But I know plenty of people that don't like Tom Brady.
But then he went to Tampa.
And then he went to Tampa. And that changed everything because the Patriots were so hated by so
many. No. We were sick. Right. People got sick in New England and they're winning and the whole deal.
Because you and I weren't. You and I fought those people.
Yes.
A lot
every day
on the radio and public. And we just want to see the best players. That's all you and I have been about.
Right.
Give me the best games, the best players. But trust me, until he went to Tampa, his Q rating was not that high.
Yeah, I disagree. We would argue over that one.
I will say, I never really liked Brady growing up for being a Dolphins fan. I recently started watching The Man in the Arena. It's really good.
See?
It's really good.
See how easily swayed they are?
Oh, absolutely. You put together a nice documentary.
It's greatness, though. I mean, again.
Yeah, but he was just as great in New England. But boy, he got out from underneath that thumb and he was able to bring his production company in. I mean, what he did to him for himself and all the stuff he's going to go into post playing in the 2 years that he was in Tampa.
Look, we talked about it the other day. You guys were competent human beings when the early days of Brady happened. I never got to live through that.
Wait, hold on.
We were competent. We're not now.
Is that
or
basically?
Wow.
You were able to formulate complete sentences.
Wait, hold on. What were we 6?
No.
I mean, what were we? We were described as competent human beings. We were in our 30s when Brady first started this thing. And that's all we were? We're competent human beings?
I was in Macon, Georgia when they beat the Rams. At Jocks and Jill's watching that game.
Jocks and Jill's, huh?
Sports bar from Atlanta that moved down to, that's where we watched the game after the hockey team that I worked for was, on Super Bowl Sunday, an early matchup, we took on the Macon Whoopie.
Wow. And then you went to Jocks and Jill's.
Right.
Wow. That's a hell of a Sunday right there.
Sure is.
14 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton, couple of competent human beings here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Paul, yeah, I know. It's going to be weird. With no, come on. Chi-Town says, "Hey, competent guys, do you believe JJ McCarthy swayed Harbaugh to stay? Rumor on Twitter."
No, Harbaugh stayed because he didn't get offered the job in Minnesota.
He never interviewed with Miami?
No.
Oh, that's right, because Stephen Ross said he doesn't want to be the guy to take away Harbaugh from Michigan, which is stupid. But whatever. Ooh, there's a Joe Montana documentary on Peacock? The original Joe Cool. I will say Russell Wilson is a name that I never really considered going to Tampa.
He won't.
That would be crazy. Can you imagine?
Well, Favre was retired, Adam, for 3 months. But by May, he was back. And by August, he was on the Jets.
Isn't it sad that the most memory that I have of Brett Favre is him on the Vikings?
Well, but that makes sense. You're 21.
Right.
I never once did I use sad as it would be the adjective. You were too young to see Brett Favre.
I missed out.
You missed out on a lot of things.
Although I will say, if you remember that Vikings year, I mean, there weren't many years he played better than that his first year with the Vikings.
You just made it for the decline of Western civilization.
Then they blew it. God, they blew it.
5 turnovers.
10 seconds.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Bud Elliott in about 15 minutes' time. Bud Elliott, Josh Pate. both cover college football. We'll talk a lot of it today in and around the madness that is the rest of the sports world. Poll question, who's had a worse week in the NFL between the three Florida teams? The Jags, who, well, it's only been 50 days. They still don't have a coach, and nobody wants to work for their general manager. The Bucs lost Tom Brady. That would seem to be a really bad week, but apparently that's nothing compared to the Dolphins, and who also still don't have a coach. And Jim Harbaugh was willing to leave Michigan and return to the NFL.
But Miami didn't even interview him nor offer him the job. They're still waiting on, I don't know what.
I think this Niners offensive coordinator, what's it, Mike McDaniel,
right.
I think? That looks like the direction they're going. Mm-hmm. Whose side are you on, by the way, the Vikings or Harbaugh? If Jim got on the plane and flew to Minneapolis thinking, well, I mean, if you're bringing me in after the conversations we had last week and you know who I am and I got a proven track record, I mean, you know, you're bringing me in to offer me the job, and I've let everybody at Michigan know if they offer me the job, I'm taking it. And the Vikings who went, yeah, I mean, you know, we liked you. You were probably the leader in the clubhouse, but, you know, we were just interviewing you.
Look, this is to me, a horrible communication gap between the two parties, because you and I both know it's more than just Harbaugh and this GM talking. There's agents involved. There are people involved. I mean,
well, and the owner obviously wasn't ready to say, yeah, if offer him the job.
So while I'm not really on any one particular side of this, I lean Harbaugh, because if you wanted Jim Harbaugh, you knew what came with that, also meaning the University of Michigan. And I think you owed them a little bit more respect. The assistant coaches, that's part of the NFL business. That's commonplace. But they had to know, someone had to at least say, you know, we're bringing this guy in on signing day, right? I mean, it is kind of a big deal.
He's agreed to come here on National Letter of Intent Day. He's obviously ready to come work for us.
And like I said, there's some communication gaps here, because it's seemingly, I would think that Harbaugh's agent would have known where they were in this process when he agreed to go.
Totally.
So somebody screwed up. But Harbaugh doesn't have an agent.
Yeah, Jim clearly got on the plane
thinking he was going to be offered the job. I apologize. Harbaugh doesn't have an agent.
And was ready to say yes.
So, yeah, I'm on Harbaugh's side. I don't think he shows up expecting to not be offered that job.
No, I side with Harbaugh on this one too. And also, I mean, come on, the offense coordinator for the Rams has never been a head coach before. The defense coordinator for the Giants has never been a head coach before. Raheem Morris has been a head coach before, had a 10-win season with the Bucs, but was too young, and he even acknowledged, you know, I made mistakes. He was the interim coach in Atlanta, actually did a pretty
really good job
finishing out the year for Dan Quinn. I think Raheem should be a head coach again. Absolutely should be a head coach again. But if it came down to Jim Harbaugh or Raheem Morris, I'd hire Jim Harbaugh.
Right. We did point out what his record was with the San Francisco 49ers. He did go to a Super Bowl. He went to consecutive championship games. I mean, and
I think Viking fan is like, hold on a second. We were the team of all the teams. We were the team that he decided, I'm ready to leave Ann Arbor for us, and we didn't offer him the job. I mean, Viking fans like, listen, this guy played for the Bears. He's not my favorite guy. Plus, he's at Michigan. We don't like them on Saturdays either. But wait, we have a chance to get him on Sundays?
Now, just think about that. In that part of the world, that is hiring. I mean, it's not coaching the Browns. You know, I mean, it's not right in Ohio State country, if you will.
Right.
But they don't like Michigan and Minneapolis. They do play for the Little Brown Jug. It's not, you know, I mean, it's not an axe or a pig or whatever the other things they play for around there, but it's still kind of important to them.
Yeah, I'd call it their third biggest game. You know, Wisconsin, Iowa, Michigan. Yeah.
And he played for the Bears, who they really hate.
Exactly. I mean, they're not the Packers, but they're second.
And they would have held a parade.
Yes. Yes, they were expecting we're gonna get Jim
Happy
Harbaugh.
days are here
Right.
again. Right. Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers is leaving, and we're gonna get Jim Harbaugh,
Yes.
and we're gonna get rid of Cousins. This is fantastic. Wait, what? We didn't offer the job to Harbaugh?
Why not? No one knows.
Wait, we're hiring another Sean McVay assistant?
Wait a minute. We just brought him in for an interview. This wasn't for the job.
What's there to talk about? What, is he not qualified? I mean, he's a pain in the butt. 4 years from now, one of us is going to stab the other in the neck. We haven't been to a Super Bowl in 45 years. I don't care.
And
Sign the
besides,
guy.
we got a pain in the neck coach in the Gophers. We're fine with that too.
Yeah,
He's
really.
winning. If we get 9 wins around here, we're pretty damn happy.
Yeah, we'll be rowing boats on Saturday and kicking you know what on Sunday. What's the problem?
Each of them can have a tree fort for all we care.
Man,
I don't get it.
we didn't offer him the job? I'm with Harbaugh on this one. I'd be like, hold on a second. I just want to make sure before I leave. I'm leaving and you didn't offer me the job. Just so you know, all right, by the time I get to the tarmac, I'm no longer interested in the job. If you have to think about this, I mean, I don't want to come off as, overly arrogant, but I know who the finalists are. And if you have to think about this, well, then that's okay. I'll just go back to Michigan. I'm good. I'll wait for the next opportunity. Give Frank Reich 1 or 2 more years. If he doesn't win big in Indianapolis, I can just step in there too. Don't you worry. So, yes, you and I are both with Harbaugh on this one.
100%. 100%. You can text the show. Text FSN Radio to 21,000. FSN Radio, all one word, to 21,000 if you want to text the show.
By the way, how come Stephen Ross, as Harbaugh is letting the Vikings know, well, if you're not going to offer me the job right this second, then I'm going back to Michigan. How could Stephen Ross, particularly with everything that's gone down this week, have not, as soon as Harbaugh hung up the phone, it rang and it was Stephen Ross going, hey, what, you're ready to leave, want our job? And Harbaugh goes, well, I thought you weren't going to be the guy to take me away from Michigan. Well, I wasn't, but my coach just accused me of fixing games. So you want the gig? I'm shocked that he didn't then hop on the phone and do some PR damage. Said he's going to hire another first-time head coach. It's worked out so well for him. And most successful one he had, he fired.
A lot of people texting the show today. David was offered Super Bowl tickets for $30,000. It has completely blown away our audience that's what tickets cost.
No. Now that's what the guy can get on the secondary market.
Right, but that's what's blowing people away. That's what a ticket cost on the secondary market. I think face value now somewhere $600-700 a ticket, if memory serves me right.
Well, no, it's
is it up from that now?
Yeah, the cheapest ticket is damn near $1,000.
Is it $1,000 now? Okay,
yeah, it's $900 to $1,000 is pretty much the cheapest ticket in nosebleed territory. For the record, it's this guy can conservatively, I know he can get 27 on the secondary market right now for these 2 tickets. And so he just said to me, hey, if you or anybody want them, I'd much rather make you or one of your friends happy. 2 tickets, $30,000.
But it's literally blowing people away that's what secondary market tickets cost. And, corporate, we got to get corporate out, get the fans back. Well, those things aren't going to happen. That's past us a long time ago. But I'm just pointing out, we're getting a lot of text.
Right.
And people are just miffed by the secondary market price.
Well, but think about it, though. And SoFi is a bigger NFL stadium. So I think it's around 75,000 seating. But think about it. A lot of the seats are corporate. They're taken. Now, some people may sell them, there's no doubt, but they're earmarked. There are not a lot of tickets that are available to the general public. This is a hard ticket to get. Half the people who go don't give a damn about the game, but they're there to be seen, particularly in Los Angeles. So you, the diehard fan, I mean, this is not 70,000 seats available. This is at most 20,000 seats available.
Now, there was thought with this game not being the most prolific that the corporate America world would be selling more tickets and there would be more. I'll be curious to see how the secondary market goes. But I did laugh at this text that someone said Stephen Ross will give you $30,000 just to tear those tickets up.
Nice. Well played.
And then someone else just comments, because I made the comment that I've canceled my Bucs season tickets. And Eagles fan said, I just moved here from Philadelphia where there's a waiting list to get the tickets. I'm still on the list. I can't believe it's like that down here. And we look at you and can't believe it's like it up there. It is the one thing, David, with the Giants, they've been bad. Well, you still can't get season tickets.
Right.
And you're a diehard Giants fan. I don't know if you'd have given them up if you'd have been up there right now, but I don't know how people can continue to pay what they pay for that product.
If I paid for the PSL, all right, I'd still have the tickets. That would be the minute they asked me for the PSL, that's when I would have made my decision. Because once you pay the PSL, you might as well keep the tickets. Miller and Moulton. Bud Elliott. Talk a little college football next here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
We actually went home, and she didn't come home for another 2 days. But apparently things are working out. She may go home late today.
Oh, good.
That would be nice.
There's Bud.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, Bud, how are you?
I'm doing well, man.
How crazy was yesterday for you?
It really wasn't that crazy. Like, we didn't have a lot of drama, but we did a lot of really good content, as far as spinning this forward to the football season, who's going to move up, who's going to move down. It was good. We did like 100,000 on the YouTube broadcast, and that was kind of the secondary push to the CBS Sports HQ. I don't have the data on that yet, but it looked like a pretty good day. Everybody was in Lauderdale too. That's where I am now. To do the live show.
Yeah, that's
you
where.
Guys hear me okay? I got new AirPods, so I've heard good feedback. All right.
About Jimbo yesterday.
That was interesting.
Nice little diatribe.
A nice little straw man to attack, right? The 30, basically going after the $30 million number, as opposed to the idea that NIL plays a big part in recruitment.
Right.
To me, that was smart of him to do. And it's not like we'll hit this on the show, but it's not like NIL is the only factor. Like, you do have to recruit these kids. They do have to actually want to go to your school. It's not like, hey, here's NIL. We'll see you in 8 months. You got to actually do some recruiting. But
I didn't see the Gators do much yesterday.
Yeah, they were in on some guys, and they didn't land them. I know Andrew Ivins put them in the signing day losers column, which look, if you judge based only on what they did on signing day, I can see it. But I really just in the early signing era, and unless you are a real marquee coach, like a Lincoln Riley, uh, who's going to take guys from the previous class, I really don't think you should go nuts in the high school thing because my research shows that a lot of these dudes who are still available in the late cycle are available for a bad reason. You know, that's kind of.
Oh, he just froze. Okay, all right there.
I froze.
Yeah, first half a second. When you looked at your phone, you just went. I'm
Okay.
like, oh no, oh no.
Oh, shoot. I've got the premium internet from Weston, so if this
No, you'll be
messes
fine.
up,
It happens.
I'm
It
just.
happens.
We also our guys uh, our guys were not jumping the gun on the Michigan thing, which was turned out to be very nice because some other folks did
Oh, that he was
who we
leaving?
compete with. Yeah, yeah. So that was good.
Well, it sounds like he was ready to leave, though. And
Oh,
this
no doubt. I
just screwed it up.
but I don't think he got the offer.
No, that's
Our guys reported like, hey, if he actually gets the offer, we think it's likely he'll go. But like other people are reporting it's done and he's expected to leave, and I'm like, all right. I mean,
1 minute.
if he does, he does.
yeah. We're both surprised that the Vikings got him to agree to come in, and clearly he was ready to take the job, and they didn't offer it to him. We were very
Right.
surprised by that. At which point he's like, "Wait, you're not offering me the job? Yeah, all right, I'm going back to Michigan."
Here's the other thing. I mean, let's just be PR people for a second here. In what universe would the NFL allow the Vikings to make a hire of a white guy the day after the Flores news drops? Like, you
Yeah.
don't think they at least want that to calm down for a couple days?
Well,
15 seconds.
By looks, yes, but you know they can't.
Right.
All right, I
here
got
we go.
you.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
22 minutes before the hour. Longtime supporter of the show, friend of the show, guest on the show, Bud Elliott, 24/7 Sports, part of the CBS Sports family, has the Cover 3 podcast, Nolecast. Follow him on Twitter, Bud Elliott 3, Bud Elliott 3. Bud, you got any energy after yesterday? I mean, you only broadcast about 14 straight hours. I mean, you got anything left in the tank for us?
Guys, I've got like 6 hours of meetings today because I do kind of the management side and the content side. And I really was thinking, like, man, some people, is nobody traveling? Are none of these meetings going to get canceled? I was checking I filter my email. I have the Google Calendar little filter there. And it's like, somebody's got to get canceled today, right? So I have like no updates for these meetings. I'll be present, but not participatory.
We're hoping for you, Bud. Miller and Moulton have never been big on meetings, so
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if you are, but we're hoping for the best for you. Who had the best closing day yesterday? I mean, the second recruiting day is not what it once was with the early signing period. Yesterday isn't the end all be all, but it can certainly help. Did somebody come out of the woodwork and have a really good second day yesterday?
Well, I wouldn't say out of the woodwork, but Texas A&M took and distanced themselves and put together the top-rated recruiting class of all time in getting Shamar Stewart, the five-star defensive lineman out of South Florida, and then Jacoby Matthews, the four-star safety out of Ponchatoula. So a huge day for A&M yesterday to really put a stamp on, and they, given the popularity of the transfer portal going forward, like that may be a class that I'm not really sure anybody tops. They ended up with 330 points in the 24/7 Sports composite rankings, and that's very high. Like that's the number one of all time, and the gap is significant.
If Mario Cristobal had hired Kevin Steele earlier, do you think the five-star DN there stays? Because he even said Ooh, Miami really intrigued me, but I had a little bit longer relationships with the people at A&M. Do you think not having a D coordinator hurt Miami in that case?
I don't. I think that deal was done for a long time.
Okay.
I think he was going to A&M for several months, and ultimately wing. But and I think Kevin Steele is a good coach, right? I just don't know if he's really going to swing Shamar Stewart.
Okay.
Then after A&M had that great day, Jimbo got a little hot over NIL talk, or NLI talk, rather. NIL talk on NLI Day. Jimbo went a little scorched earth on one of your colleagues. Is this something we're going to have to get used to? Because coaches don't like to have to answer questions, and pretty uncomfortable questions. And name, image, and likeness can be uncomfortable right now. It is uncomfortable right now, bud. How many more of these defiant answers do you think we get in the next 6-8 months? It seems like this is going to be the flavor of the month now.
Probably a couple, I would think. So it's twofold, right? Number one, if you're a head coach, you don't like the idea that the only reason a player is choosing your school is NIL, right? Your assistants have worked hard on these guys. Like they are road warriors. They're sending texts all hours of the day. They're forming these relationships with these kids, and so they don't like it to be implied that the only reason somebody is going to a school is NIL. It's also not technically legal to arrange a deal for a recruit. Now, once he's a player, you can do it, which is what we've seen happens. And I think Jimbo was also annoyed about the $30 million rumor out there, and he shot that down. And to be honest, we've said on the Cover 3 podcast consistently that the $30 million number I think is nonsense, especially if it's a 1-year number. Like, if you're talking over 4 years, that's still, I think, probably low. I don't think most of your elite non-quarterbacks are getting $1 million. I just don't, right? Just based on the numbers I've heard. I think there's probably a couple, maybe elite defensive linemen across the nation. I'm not implying A&M's class here specifically, who are getting $1 million, but I think that's spread out over a couple years. Now, quarterback's a different story. I think if you're a 5-star quarterback, you have tremendous negotiating leverage, and you probably should be looking for $1 million a year in NIL deals right off the bat. But the other positions, I don't think they're getting that much. So I think he was also annoyed at that rumor that they were spending $30 million on this class. And of course, Lane Kiffin is just out there ribbing him and openly joking, right, about how they need to put a salary cap for NIL on Texas and Texas A&M. So he was hot yesterday, but ultimately, Hayes in the barn. He's got the players.
All right, bud. We got about 10 minutes. Let's cover a lot of ground here. Gators and Knowles. This 9-week period here that has just come and gone. Ultimately, how do you feel Norvell has done, having to keep on keeping on recruiting with losing records? And Billy Napier, when he took the job, Florida's recruiting class was seen as the 13th in the league. How did Napier do in his first 9 weeks?
Yeah, so I think Billy Napier did a fine job of assembling the staff. Ultimately, yesterday, I know they ended up in our losers column on 24/7 Sports. That was really just for the day, right? I'm of the opinion that if you're a first year head coach at a school, I'm really not expecting much from you. It's not like Billy Napier is a national name that a lot of recruits know. I would expect him to do pretty well in the coming years. I think he's assembling a good staff that will hit the ground hard, and he's getting UF to pay up in a lot of areas that I think you need to pay up in to recruit well. But I really wouldn't put much on him for this signing class. Florida State really didn't bring anybody new in the high school ranks. They went hard after the transfer portal. I think they got some good players there. Some of their takes, I think, are kind of questionable. But I mean, at this point, they're kind of in a portal cycle. I wouldn't really anticipate them killing it under the high school ranks under Norvell. I mean, he's kind of coaching not to save his job this year, but clearly he's got to find a way to win some games at a certain point. And he's had quite a bit of bad luck there, as far as like Travis Hunter flipping to Jackson State on early signing day, kind of killed a lot of their momentum as a program. So I would say Florida, they finished ninth in the SEC, but one thing they didn't do is they didn't waste a ton of scholarship spots on guys who just can't play. They also attacked the portal fairly well. They ended up getting 3 guys from Billy Napier's former school at Louisiana, and they ended up taking Jack Miller, the Ohio State quarterback transfer. We'll see how much he plays, and they got a corner from Georgia and Jalen Kimber, who I know they also like.
Speaking of the transfer portal, Bud, how many quality players are left? If you're following your school and you're on your website, which does a great job on the transfer portal, as good as anything out there, and it's not close. How many good players are out there? How much attention should we be paying attention to the transfer portal in the coming days?
I would say a little bit of attention right now. We are going to get a little bit of a lull because a lot of these guys who are currently in the portal may be in there for a bad reason, like they couldn't get in another school, right? A lot of these guys do want to be in school now, simply because of the whole like, hey, spring practice is coming. You want to get in school by that time. However, there are still some top guys in the portal. We'll see where they end up, but some of these guys in the portal right now, I'm like, is this guy going to be eligible? Like, why has he not picked a school yet? That type of thing. I think the second wave of portal will come in the final 2 weeks in April, because remember, the portal deadline is May 1st. So you have to, if you want to go to a different school and be eligible for the fall, you have to be into the portal by May 1st. So I think post spring ball, those final 2 weeks of April, we are going to have an absolute field day of guys who look around, say, oh, I may not be a starter, and then jump.
But up until he brought Kevin Steele aboard, Cristobal didn't have a coordinator. How do you think things have gone in Miami in the weeks since he took over?
I think he's done some good things, and some things have not gone maybe as easy as he expected. I think he's done a nice job hiring some of the behind-the-scenes recruiting guys. They obviously did a good job on the Shamar Stewart visit, even though they didn't get him. I mean, you made him think, and took him to that nice restaurant, and he bumped into Shaq on that visit, which I'm sure was a coincidence. So, I think Cristobal will recruit well down there. He also does not necessarily have a reputation as a guy who is easy to work for. If you look at what Joe Moorhead did there at Oregon, what he was running is not necessarily always what Moorhead is known for running. So, I mean, either you accept that he's only offered one OC in 8 weeks, which seems weird, or you accept that maybe he's been turned down a couple times. I'm kind of in the latter camp, but we'll see. I did hear yesterday that they might be looking at one of Tennessee's offensive coordinators for which is basically running that Jeff Levy type of offense, right? That Heupel ran at UCF and is now running at Tennessee. Kevin Steele, you can ask Gus Malzahn about how that ended there and kind of what went down at Auburn. It's an interesting staff dynamic, but there's no doubt when he's on, the guy can coach. So we'll go ahead and see how this goes down.
Speaking of Gus, how did things go for the directional schools, UCF, USF? USF's been doing great in the portal. UCF didn't have the year they wanted to last year. So now with the pending move to the Big 12, has it helped at all from a recruiting standpoint?
I think it actually has helped a little bit. UCF is recruiting, in my opinion, better than they did under Heupel, right? They got some guys who I really like. They are going back to that Gus Malzahn, more of the running quarterback type offense. And I'll point you to Thomas Castellanos. He's a guy who, like a Georgia and a Florida State and some schools like that, wanted as a receiver or a running back. And Gus's best offenses have been when he's like, you know what? I'm a wing T guy by nature. I want a running quarterback. And Castellanos picked UCF because of his ability to play quarterback there. But yet he has the athleticism to play a skill position at like a Georgia. So that's going to be very interesting. They also duplicated that through the transfer portal with John Reese Plumlee. And Plumlee, if you remember the game 2 years ago, like he's the guy that put up like 35 points on that LSU team led by Joe Burrow running the football for Ole Miss back when Rich Rod was the OC there. So again, going back to his roots, not trying to do something that he's not very good at, which is developing quarterbacks throw-wise and running the quarterback. I think that fits. Like, I don't want Gus Malzahn trying to run a big drop back thing. His guys have never done that well. Run the quarterback, run your offense, and you can score points.
Lincoln Riley, USC. I know they've lost a lot of players, but I know they've also brought in a ton of players. Are we talking net sideways, net up, net down? How's it gone?
I think it's net up. To get Caleb Williams is absolutely huge for those guys. They also got a bunch of other impact dudes, including some guys from the Pac-12. Like they go and get Jerry Rice's son from Colorado, right? You go and get one of Washington's best receivers. This is a real, I think, an upgrade of their roster somewhat. Is because they went so portal heavy, they have so many spots to sell for next year. I mean, I talked to Cooper Patagna, one of our directors of scouting here. I was like, all right, who's the next team to finish number one in the rankings, not named Bama, Georgia, or A&M? He's like, oh, it's USC. And he worked at Oregon and Washington. And I told him, like, you had it on easy mode out there, right? Because USC was not really full go. And now they are, based on the hires they're making, both in the coaching staff and behind the scenes. I think USC is going to do extremely well recruiting next year with the first full year of Lincoln Riley. And they have a lot of playing time and a lot of high school spots to sell for that 2023 class.
Bud Elliott got a lot going on. 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports HQ, Nolecast. Follow him on Twitter at Bud Elliott3. Bud, hope the little guy is doing well. Hope mom is fine, and safe travels. May be a while, but we'll talk.
We will. Dude, I got a great text. Like, you know, you get that. I don't know if we got a minute. We got that text, you know, your kids are acting up type text when you're on the road. I got a, hey babe, he actually slept till 5:30 and I got a workout in text. So like that's the kind of text you want to get. You know, you're gonna be happy when you get home.
Absolutely. Well, safe travels back home, and Bud, as always, thanks for your time, man.
All right, I'll see you guys. Stay well.
Bud Elliott, kind enough to join us here on Miller and Moulton. A lot of college football fans out there just trying to wrap things up. We used to do a lot more of nitty-gritty day in, day out. Now we do a little bit more big picture helicoptering around.
You can't with the change. With the early signing period, it's a much different proposition than it used to be. And David would geek out for the first Wednesday in February.
Oh, loved it. Loved it. And you used to say to me, man, I like listening to your show and all, but you're just a little too hardcore on this whole signing day thing. 4-star this, 5-star that. You know, I think for one day of the year, I wanted to be our buddy up in Tennessee.
Bill King.
Yeah. Just for one day.
Every day is National Signing Day to Bill King.
I just wanted to do it once.
But I thought it was an interesting point by Bud. After spring ball, right before May, the end of April is the next big moment in which you need to be paying attention to what's going on in the transfer portal. Nobody better than 24/7 Sports loading up on who's in the transfer portal. The other thing you mentioned too, guys that haven't transferred yet, there's usually a reason why.
Make sure you go to that Mark Miller, the David Moulton, vote in our poll question. Which Florida NFL teams had a worse week? Jags, 50 days and counting, still don't have a coach. Bucks lost Brady. And, of course, we all know what's gone on with the Dolphins. Feel free and vote. Miller and Moulton, thanks for listening.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the Chicken Bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library
and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, the Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with the Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
So an NHL goalie would probably be a really good first baseman, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, those picks, you know, like
Very much so.
yeah, or just a good catcher, obviously.
But I would lean first baseman because of the agility with the legs,
Right.
too.
Oh, right.
What D3 college was that? It was like low level. I used to go by the bleachers. Like an FGCU gym there. The Billikens.
Hey, I wanted to go a little different route with Josh because unfortunately he didn't have any other time, and I figured I'd take him instead of not. Do we ask first off? We'll get him to talk about Jimbo because he interviewed him yesterday, and
Right.
Jimbo kind of went off a little bit. But then maybe ask about fixing this because they're already talking
Yep.
about we got to fix this. Felipe? Josh has a full schedule, so find out when you get him on the line, what's his out time? When does he need to be done?
His out time is about 17 after, so
All
we
right.
should be fine.
Great.
We got 15 seconds.
Thank you.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Minute and a half past the hour. It is the final hour of Miller and Moulton in Lake City and surrounding areas, Tampa, St. Pete, and Port Charlotte and Venice. We are halfway home for those of you in the 239. Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. He's also from 24/7 Sports and can be seen on CBS Sports HQ. He is the host of Late Kick Live, and he does the Late Kick podcast. He's Josh Pate, and you can follow him on Twitter at Late Kick Josh. That's Late Kick Josh. Josh, it's David and Mark. Thanks for your time. How are you?
I'm good. I also want it to be added to my bio. I woke up in South Florida this morning, which is something I wish I could always say, but unfortunately, it's just a temporary week-long thing.
Hey, come on. We shouldn't have all that much sympathy for Josh. He wakes up in Nashville most days.
Yeah, I lived in Nashville. I know how cold it is in Nashville this time of year. So, Josh, I completely understand. And thank goodness you missed our winter that ended
Monday,
like 2 days ago.
Right.
I heard. Yeah, prayers had been sent from my way, from Nashville. I can assure you of that.
Luckily, you didn't have to duck any iguanas walking to get your coffee in the morning. Josh, Texas A&M had the best recruiting class ever. According to a lot of the charts. And they have a lot of money there now. Jimbo didn't seem to be very happy that you associated the two. You interviewed him yesterday. He went a little scorched earth on you. First off, were you expecting it from the question? And how surprised were you at just how critical Jimbo became so quickly?
Oh, no, I wasn't surprised at all. And to be honest, I kind of expected it. And I wanted him to go there. I wanted him one way or the other to address it. And so, I left it very open-ended for him and asked what I thought was a generic question, which is essentially everyone has an opinion on NIL. What do you think about it? And how did it impact your class? And he was ready. And if you've followed their program, you've known he's been stewing on this behind the scenes for a little while, because whatever your opinion or my opinion or anyone else's opinion is, he's been kind of aggravated that there's an insinuation money and money alone is what has attracted kids to Texas A&M, because he believes, and I agree with these things, he believes they've got a great culture out there. They've invested fully. They got a really, really good staff. They do have all those things. But there's also the insinuation that maybe that wasn't enough in the past, or why is it all of a sudden enough now to have the biggest class of all time? I also think that's a fair assumption, or at least it's fair to suggest. So he teed off. And what was funny is we had him about 30 minutes before he did his press conference. And he said, you know what, I'm about to talk about this in my press conference too. And then he goes on and on and on. And what was strange, I at least thought, was he kind of kept making it a point to target Nick Saban. Now, that's obviously strategic, and he's got his reasons. That is certainly not off the cuff. I thought another thing that was funny was during his press conference, when he was, seemingly speaking off the cuff, he threw on his reading glasses 3 or 4 times, which meant he had prepared statements in front of him, which I always love to have in a moment of spontaneity. Always the best thing to have when you're being spontaneous, the bullet points in front of you. But I was not surprised by it. What Jimbo Fisher will not do is he will not sit over there on the defensive. He will go on the offensive. They may not throw the ball down the field as much as they should, but they will go on the offensive when it comes to fighting against that stereotype.
Josh Pate, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports HQ. It's Late Kick Live. It's the Late Kick podcast. Follow Josh on Twitter at Late Kick Josh. All right, can we get into NIL a little bit? When you're seemingly less than a year into this, because what are we really, 7 months into this? I think it was July 1st we were first allowed to do this. And the coaches in particular are already saying, this is out of control. We've got to do something about this. Now, they're also saying it about the portal, but maybe, Josh, we can do that at another time. With NIL, if you were commissioner, based on things that Nick Saban, Jimbo Fisher, and others have told you, where is it that you see that this sport is already going to somehow, some way, whether it comes from them or they just beg Congress to do it for them, where is it that this is going to have to get reined in?
Well, let me tell you what the most ignorant thought out there is, and that is that Congress is the governing body to fix this. What the proactive approach should have been is, let's get our house in order before Congress ever even has to look our way. That should have been the approach, but that's in the past. We can't go back and change that. What will have to happen now, I believe personally, is going to be pretty radical if you want to maintain complete ownership over your own sport. Right now, a commissioner could not walk in and dictate any of this, because you'd have immediate lawsuits piling up in your lap because you do not pay what they would call your labor at the moment. And you could have all the arguments back and forth about what a scholarship is worth, but we're past that now. I mean, I used to engage in it too. We're past that. And so what would be said is, you can't limit what I can do. You can't be limiting what those kids can make. They're not your employees. Same thing would be said about the transfer portal. So what's going to have to happen is, aside from Congress and even aside from a commissioner, you're going to have an understanding amongst coaches and athletic directors and university presidents about what is truly best for the sport. And this is where it becomes so hard. It's the same reason that you've got a lot of people in college athletics who want an expanded playoff, but they can't agree on the format. And therefore, there is no centralized authority to just dictate. And sometimes that's a very good thing. Well, it's the same way here. No coach I've talked to says, man, you know what? I love where the transfer portal is right now. But they're also not bringing forth really comprehensive and agreed upon measures to fix it or curtail it. Because really what could happen is, if you had the sunshine and rainbow world where there were unwritten rules that staffs all agreed to abide by, NIL would work the way it's supposed to. Because the way it's supposed to work is, it doesn't affect recruiting at all. It's just that once you get to where you're going, then you take whatever deals you get, but it is truly you cashing in on the value of your name. Right now, we talked with Nick Saban about it yesterday, and he accurately stated, right now it's just a recruiting tool, and as long as that's the way it is, and this is the head coach at Alabama talking, so it's not going to hurt him. It is going to hurt most of college football. He said, as long as that's the way it is, that will never be good for the game. And really what he's translated it into saying it, I'm going to win either way, and I'll dominate with this, but only a few programs will. And so if we really want what's best for the sport, you got to put guardrails in for this.
All right, Josh, what are the guardrails? And I've pointed this out, and I think people are probably sick of me saying it, but there's like two different big-time business models, and that's what they are. One's the 501c3 that Texas and Kentucky are using, that I actually think, whether it's Congress or government, could at some point investigate that whole world. Different show, different topic, because that's a sham. The other one is like what Florida's doing with the Gator Collective, where more normal people are putting in X a month and they're getting access, and then that money's going to the schools. Are either of those models in jeopardy down the road to you? Because both of them are really well established and are pumping in serious money to these schools. Are either of those a threat of going away down the road?
So I talked to someone the other day over on the legal side of things who would know way more about that world than me. They would tell you yes to both. It's very preliminary. Obviously, this is not something people have been diving into from the college perspective for years and years and years. But the short answer is yes, I think so. Here's not a longer answer, but a little bit different answer. I also think that some of the entities that got involved in that understood that it's probably not going to be forever. Let's take advantage of this loophole or this crease here while we can. And then once they shut that down, then we'll adjust on the fly. That guardrail, you are right. That guardrail, there are folks on the legislative side, or there are folks on the legal side, or even the congressional side, who could indeed get involved there, because then you're talking about all kinds of different tax issues. But on strictly the NIL side, I don't know what kind of immediate legislation any governing body is going to be able to hand down that tells Texas, you cannot line businesses up to where they blindly agree that any offensive lineman who comes here is going to be paid this, or in Oklahoma, or just picking random programs. We're going to put a blanket dollar figure on any kid who commits here, regardless of what their value and their name and image is actually worth. Well, that is not NIL. That is pay for play.
And Josh, quickly, do you think there will be a change at some point to the transfer portal? Because it would seem, since coaches and ADs can move freely without having to sit out, and they also can collect money while doing it, that now we feel that the players should be able to as well. But the coaches are really bent out of shape with how volatile the transfer portal is. And we can all see why. You can lose a roster pretty quickly for no good reason. So
Yeah,
do we think something there is going to be done? And if so, what?
yes, I do think something there will be done, and I think it'll be done at the conference level. The first thing, at least that I hear a lot of talk about, is being able to move during the season. Now, maybe that's a formality. If a guy makes up his mind in October he's leaving and he's mentally checked out, he's probably not going to help your roster. But be that as it may, they want to curtail the moving during the season, and a lot of them have rethought the ability to move within a conference without a penalty being paid, without having to sit out a year. But I will also tell you this, I know a lot of folks come at me because I constantly get this. Anytime I engage in this conversation, someone will DM me or email me, and they'll say, coaches can move freely, why can't players? Well, that's an illusion. You look around and you see coaches changing jobs, and therefore it feels to us like they're moving freely. No coach is moving freely. No coach ever leaves a job where they are currently under contract penalty-free. Now, we don't really see a buyout get paid, but there is language in any contract that stipulates if you leave this early, if you break this contract, there's going to be this penalty paid. Now, it may not matter because you got so much money involved, or it may not matter because your future employer may pay your buyout for you. But the fact remains, there is some penalty that's paid for the breaking of a contract. Right now, a player is under no such contract because they are not an employee. They are just a student. And right now they're able to move freely. And that is where that $1 million question comes in of how can you really put parameters on someone who is not an employee? And that's where I think things get a little bit more radical down the road a ways, because, you got one or two options, really. You can either risk a pile of lawsuits again on this front, or you can say, well, here's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to figure out a way to designate some kind of employment status. This is opening a big can of worms, but I think it's the way we're going. We're already down the road, so let's go ahead and designate some form of employment status here. And in that vein, we now have players signing some form of the same kind of contract a coach does. Now, that doesn't mean that you were just tied with ball and chain to a program. But if you leave moving forward, there will be some kind of penalty paid. I think that's the world we live in about 5 or 6 years from now.
Josh, would love to talk more at length down the road. I know you're pressed for time, so are we. I'm going to give you 3 one-word answers. You can only pick one. NIL, transfer portal in the last year. Everybody you talk to in college football, do they think because of it the sport is better, the same, or worse? One word,
Worse.
one answer. What is it?
Worse. Times 100. Worse.
Interesting. Josh, hopefully we can do this again. Great work yesterday. Safe travels getting back to Nashville. Hopefully we can talk again in the spring.
I absolutely appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Josh Pate, 24/7 Sports, CBS Sports HQ family. Late Kick Live after the games, Late Kick podcast regularly. Follow him on Twitter, Late Kick Josh. Worse times 100.
They hate it.
They're exploiting the hell out of it.
Right. They hate it, and they're doing everything they can to embrace it at the same time. It's one hell of a dichotomy that these coaches have right now. This sucks. This is the worst thing in the world. Can we hire 2 people to watch the transfer portal? I can't stand name, image, and likeness. Have we set up a fund yet for our school? They are talking out of both sides of their mouth constantly right now.
15 minutes after the hour. Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening, Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program The Training Grove, with a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. We've hit 700. 300 to go, Twitch folks. Hit that follow button. Let's go. Hit that follow button. Gotta get to 1,000 so I win my bet with Moulton. That's all I ever. We could retire after that. Could call this a day.
Cameron Wolf. He reported yesterday he spoke with a witness who said that he heard Dolphins owner Stephen Ross offer Flores $100,000 for every loss. Wolf also reported that Flores' legal team says it has evidence, including messages from general manager Chris Greer, which corroborate the allegations.
By the way, Jeff, he did send it to you because you're on there. Jeff sent the email with that picture on it from his house in Grand Rapids.
There you go.
And they get Grand Rapids gets snow. It's about 30, 40 minutes from Lake Michigan, and they get like we wouldn't get it in Lansing, an hour away. We would not get that. So Grand Rapids gets pounded.
It's like Syracuse gets all that lake effect.
It's exactly what it is.
Well, but Hops
to a show though, because the weekends are off. We need two a show.
Right. We figured out it's like 1.5 to 2 per show, but then Mark needs like the 50 in and around the draft.
We got 5 months.
Yeah, February, March, April,
we need 40
May,
a month.
June. Okay.
We need 60 a month, which is 2 a day.
We've got roughly 100 shows to 100 to 110 shows left. All right. And we need 300 follows. So if you do 2 a day, that's 200 plus, we're still 100 short. I'm telling you. And if Mark gets his 50 around the draft, we're still 50 short. So I'm just saying.
Hit the follow button is what we're saying.
3 a day would do it. 3 followers a day. 3 followers a show.
Yesterday was a big day. I will say we need to, David, in all seriousness, I think we need to pound shit out of the text line coming out of every, if you want to introduce and me do it, just because we got Lake City, Port Charlotte, and Tampa.
Okay.
More than this stupid thing. This is great, but
is Twitch a better deal than YouTube for us?
Yes. Well, they're equal. I mean, we'd love you to subscribe to both. There's money in both, but you have to get to some pretty good numbers on YouTube. We probably should have made the distinction to do one or the other, and we've done both. So Bob and Jake, I don't really know the answer to that. For us, it has been. I think if we got to this affiliate level, I'd be curious, but I'd love to see our YouTube numbers go up as well. And that's going to be part of Felipe's duties here sooner than later of getting the interviews all up on there. I just need him to get out of school so I can really grind him. Because he has no idea what's about to happen when he becomes a full-time employee. He is a full-time employee, but he's a lazy full-time employee right now.
Felipe's like, lazy? What are you talking about?
I get up at 5 o'clock. I'm
just
up at 4:30
really,
in the morning.
I don't have a life. What are you talking about? I'm slow.
Billy, do you have? Is Thursday a go night for you? Typically,
Go as in like go out. Yeah.
So is it imperative that today
But I
you get a nap? Or is it imperative right now every day that you get a nap?
Next commercial break, we'll get back to this, or we'll see. We're coming back now.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
That's right, the Florida Sports Network, from Lake City to Tampa, St. Pete, Port Charlotte, Venice, and Fort Myers, Naples. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Listen to the show on the radio. Listen to us and watch us on the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. And whatever you do, if you go the Twitch route, just please follow us. I mean, we're in the 700s now. And Mark Miller's life will not be complete until we get to 1,000.
Well, and then once we get there, I'll want 2. You know me.
No,
but
we're done begging for followers once we get to 1,000.
Right.
That's it.
You know what? You're right. Once we get to 1,000, we'll quit promoting the show. Why would we ever want to get more people to watch, listen, and participate in our radio show?
Right. What are we, Entertainment Tonight? We're just going to continue to promote the show while doing the show? No.
Yes. On that note, text 21,000. Text FSN Radio to 21,000. FSN Radio to 21,000. Lake City, Port Charlotte, Tampa, St. Pete. Love to hear from you. We've been on in the Fort Myers, Naples market for quite a few years and love the fact that we're growing and hope that you are taking us in, and love to hear your thoughts. Lake City area, it's the heart of Gator country. A lot of recruiting talk today. And I noticed something coming back from break that I don't know if young Felipe is still in his pajamas over there, but every day Felipe comes in some sort of Miami garb.
Right.
Always a team shirt. And you today with your Marty Richter Drake Bulldog shirt on.
Right.
I've got my 10-year-old honeymoon Golden State Warrior t-shirt on.
That's right.
And Felipe is sport-free today. He's still in his jammies from last night. He must have looks like he had a slumber party. The hair and shirt kind of go together today. They're a little disheveled.
Well, I mean, the hair has a mind of its own right now.
Well, if you think these are pajamas, I mean, with the shorts maybe, but the shirt is a little crew neck with a pocket.
Is that what that is?
From Zara. Got it for $20.
Sabaro?
No, Zara.
Did you get a piece of pizza with that?
You got a calzone with that? What?
Wow. I didn't know they were selling clothes now. That's fantastic.
That's amazing. Wait, are they selling the clothes with the calzone, or you get the calzone with the clothes? How's that go?
Do you get the sauce stain on the shirt before you buy it, or do you have to pour the sauce on it too? I'm not sure.
That's how I roll.
I'm confused. Is Zara like a...
Never mind.
Am I too young for this?
No.
You've probably experienced Sabaro. You just don't realize it.
The pizza that's in every mall.
Right.
And or airport.
No.
All right.
Okay,
Moving on.
Nope.
Oh, well. Miller and Moulton.
David, did you, and I know you're going to hate that I'm going to go here, but did you see the story from the sortable news agency TMZ about Ocho Cinco? He fought in the he did those stupid fights that they have, the
Jake Paul.
Yeah, he was one of the undercards for that.
Really?
And he went on the Brandon Marshall's I'm an Athlete podcast to let know he fought Brian Maxwell. He got knocked out by Brian Maxwell. And I think they all went on to talk about it. And Ocho admitted that fights were at Hard Rock with, that last fight, that he was knocking boots 3 times before the fight. Women weaken legs. If we want to know why he got knocked out, now you know.
What I would like to know is particularly because, none of that interests me, right? But what would interest me is asking particularly a football player who obviously is used to physical contact and that sort of pain and intensity. So what's it like to get punched in the, no pads, no helmet? What's it like to get punched in the mouth? Like to ask, Chad Johnson / Ocho Cinco there. So going over the middle and getting hit by John Lynch, getting knocked out in the ring. Describe the difference.
I'm with you.
That interests me. The whole, no, that doesn't interest me. Him fighting another guy, whatever.
I'm not watching any of the fights, but I'm with you. I just thought it was in the whole Rocky thing of, what were you doing before the fight? Well, I was nervous, so I got rid of my nervous energy.
Well, the story came out a week or two ago about Tyson and his little extracurricular activities in and around the fights and how prolific that he apparently was back in the day. Hey, I think this story is being underreported, if that's possible. And remember, next week's the Super Bowl. So I think all of this Stephen Ross stuff, unless Brian Flores is going to go to Los Angeles and walk through the convention center or wherever it is that they are holding Radio Row. But unless he's going to do that, and boy, will the NFL be happy about that. It gets shut down for a week. The machine is going to push it to the side.
And if he walked, first off, he wouldn't get in the room.
You don't think so?
They wouldn't want him in the room.
Well, right.
And then
Mark, we've gotten in the room.
They couldn't refuse to credential him, I guess. I mean, they could, but the backlash of that would be unbelievable. David, if he walked through that room, it would have been like Chris Rock walking through the room right now. I mean,
right.
Radio stations would be
all over him,
jumping on top of one another to get him on the air.
And if he goes to the room, he's only going to get on as many of said radio stations as possible. I mean, he'll walk in and go, I'm here Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, guys, try the veal. So I'm assuming next week this is going to get pushed to the side. I just want to, if we never talk about this again until after the Super Bowl, I do want to get this out there. NFL Network's Cameron Wolfe yesterday reported that he spoke with a witness who said that he heard Stephen Ross offering Brian Flores $100,000 for every loss in the 2019 season. Wolf, now, by the way, the witness would have to be a current or former Dolphins employee. I mean, let's be honest.
Yes.
Okay, so think about that. He's got a source who either is a current or former Dolphins employee who can back up Flores' story. That's number one. Wolf also reports that the Flores legal team says it has the evidence, including messages from GM Chris Greer, to corroborate what it is they're claiming.
You'd have to force him to sell the team immediately if any of this is proven true.
Well, come on now, Mark.
No, David. This is different than Washington. It really is. Daniel Snyder's a rotten person and promoted a horrible workplace atmosphere. But there is no evidence that Daniel Snyder tried to force his team to lose games. The partners of this league now are all gambling entities.
Mark, they make their own rules.
I understand.
And it's really simple. If they want you to stay in the club, you're going to stay in the club.
I don't think they'll want him to stay in the club.
They want Daniel Snyder to remain in the club. That's the bar that you have to reach.
I don't know if they want Daniel Snyder to stay in the club or if Daniel Snyder's got goods on all of them that he would release. Ross doesn't seem like he's that owner.
Got to remember, we talk about this all the time. Do you have to go straight to firing? Is this something that an owner can be suspended for? Yeah, I mean, remember, Sean Payton got a year.
Correct.
I mean, Stephen Ross could technically get a year, and the NFL could, if they wanted to, say, and you're not allowed to profit from the team's operations during your year that you're suspended. That money needs to go wherever the hell they want it to go. I mean, they could be incredibly strict without saying the Jerry Richardson option. You got to sell the team.
Yeah, I think if they force Richardson to sell the team, I actually think they'd force Russ. This is from Park Avenue. This is worse than what Snyder did.
Oh, no, I agree. This is the integrity of the game.
This is everything that Roger says he is defending. This is the shield. I mean, there's no mincing words. There's no other way to put this. This is the shield.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that this is the first time? Let's just assume Flores and the others have the goods and this is true. And let's face it, who are you going to believe? Brian Flores or the Dolphins? I think most of us would believe Brian Flores.
No, I do not think this is the first time. That's why you thought the Hugh Jackson, and even though he backed off, I think that there's some there all over the place of, hey, we're rebuilding. No, you can't have this player. Nope.
But I mean, I think there's been evidence for 40 years of teams that have intentionally lost games to secure the first or second overall draft pick. There's no doubt in my mind.
Starting in August?
Well, but you can justify that. I mean, unless he literally, when he interviewed for the job, all right, I mean, they probably said to him, just so you know, we are going to tear it down. And I mean, completely tear it down. If you're not on board, don't take the job. And you can justify that, though. You could. That, to me, is not $100,000 for every
Exactly.
loss.
That's a rebuild. We're tearing it down.
Right.
There's a tremendous difference.
Yes. And most of us were in favor of what they were doing,
yes,
by the way.
That's a fact.
And also, let's be honest, Doll fan, if we pulled you aside and we had, let's just say Miller and Moulton uncovered 2.5 years ago that the Dolphins were intentionally tanking for Tua. And remember, that's who we were tanking for, remember? And that's the irony in all this. You ended up getting the guy that you were tanking for because you were not in August and September of 2019 tanking for Joe Burrow.
No, but by all accounts, Stephen Ross wanted him by the end and tried to offer everything he could to Cincinnati to get him and did not get Joe Burrow.
But
it's hard being a Dolphins fan.
Oh, man.
Man, oh, man. Can I go back and read our poll question again?
Well,
Who's had the worst week? Bucks, Dolphins, or Jags? And right now, 3 of 4 of you are saying the Miami Dolphins. And Tom Brady retired 2 days ago.
Right. We thought that would have won the week. It's pretty much a footnote.
A footnote.
Man, oh, man. But I wanted everybody to know, a mainstream reporter, by the way, the NFL Network is owned by the league. An NFL Network reporter said, oh, yeah, I talked to a guy who can totally back up Flores' claim. And I've talked to the Flores legal team, and they said, oh, yeah, we got proof. Absolutely. We didn't make this allegation, wildly. We got the goods. And you got a witness backing us up. That's great. The NFL yesterday did grudgingly have to acknowledge, well, I guess we're going to investigate this. They sounded like what's-his-face, the manager in Major League. Oh, I don't know. I'm ordering a set of white walls.
Have to get back to you.
25 minutes before the hour, Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
All right, so yesterday I was making a player comparison, saying that, for those of you who remember, Jason Tatum is a hybrid of Carmelo Anthony and Dr. J. And David Moulton said I was insanely ridiculous for even comparing the athletic ability of Dr. J. And listen, Dr. J is Dr. J, and I understand that. But I don't think that I'm crazy to believe that there are 20 people in the NBA that are as athletic as Dr. J was. I mean, think about how the game has evolved. And I'm not talking about skill. I'm talking about solely athleticism. In today's NBA, come on now. John Morant would be an alien in the 70s.
First comment I see, that's ridiculous, Philly. So I have no idea what's been going on here.
Look,
in the last
I'm saying that yesterday, because I thought long and hard about this. Yesterday, you said that is effing ridiculous about the Dr. J thing. And listen.
Well, no. You said it was Carmelo Anthony and Dr. J.
Like a hybrid.
Yeah, right. Of two of the 50 greatest players of all time. I mean, that's what they are. I mean, two of the 75 greatest players of all time.
Right.
And you're saying this guy, no, so think about that. That means this player would be one of the 15 greatest players of all time minimum. If you're combining Dr. J and Carmelo Anthony.
But not all of Dr. J and all of Melo, like parts.
Yeah, that's why the comparison was absurd. I mean, I'm sorry.
I mean, Jason Tatum is really good.
Yeah, he's
not one of the 75 best players to ever play the game.
No, he's not. But
so if you were to say
he might go down.
Let me just help you, okay?
Yes.
Just because you have this ability when you say something to never recant and go, you know what, I did say that wrong. So I just want you to listen to me. You know what Tatum reminds me of? He's got a little bit of Melo and he's got a little bit of Dr. J. He's not nearly as good as them, but I see little bits of their game in him. Do you see that? Well, no, I don't. But see, he's a
combination.
When you say he's a combination of Dr. J and Melo, it means he's the best
Carmelo
of Dr. J
Anthony.
and the best of Melo. It's a phrasing.
Okay.
I see little bits of Dr. J's game. Do you see any Dr. J in his game? That would be a question. Yeah, I see what you're getting at there. He's got great hops.
And his layup package is insane. He makes ridiculous contested but the point that I was trying to get at was that I think solely from an athletic perspective, there are maybe 20 guys in the NBA that are athletic as Dr. J was in today's NBA. And I don't think that that's like a far-fetched statement.
No, I don't either. I mean, he played in the 70s and 80s.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kenyon Martin Jr. is probably just as athletic as Dr. J.
Most everyone that's playing in the league is now because they're a different animal.
It's insane.
Can you do me a favor?
We made USAA insurance for better.
Do me a favor and see. I could really drive everybody nuts and make you put USA on right now because the women's hockey game's on.
Oh,
is that where it's on?
It's on USA.
Is it really?
Yes.
Really?
It's the Olympics, ladies and gentlemen.
What channel is that? Do you know?
That's a great question.
I'm gonna
somewhere between. Just go down, page down. It's going to be between 206 and 245 would be my guess. You got to get to 220s to get out of sports anyhow. There it is. There it is. 242. Up one more. There you go.
There we Go. 30 seconds. Nice.
Can't see the score. I'm going to say 3-0. Oh.
2-0. Let's go.
There's no one. There's virtually no one in the stands at all of these events.
Yeah.
And apparently those that were in the arena for the Canada women who won 12-1, there was like no yelling, no applause.
We're coming back.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton, only on the Florida Sports Network.
"19 minutes before the hour. Thanks so much for being with us. Glenn Davis, soccer is his life. And we'll talk about the U.S. men's national team in our bonus hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, Florida Sports Network. Go to millerandmoulton.com. About an hour or so after every show, we download our podcasts. If you miss any part of the show, that's where you can grab it all. Make sure you follow us, subscribe to us, check us out, the Miller and Moulton Twitch.tv channel. Commercial breaks are interesting. Sometimes we yell at each other.
Lately, we just yell at Felipe.
He's yelling back, though. I'm proud of him. He's giving it back to us.
He's trying.
Oh, he's outnumbered. We're very strong in our opinions. Okay. So, I mean, it's an uphill climb, but we're toughening him up. I mean, that's what he doesn't realize right now. I mean, he wants to stab both of us in the neck right now. We're actually doing him a service.
But he doesn't realize that.
No, and he won't.
It'll take a while.
That's okay.
I expect a text in 2032.
Hey,
it's Felipe.
Hey,
thanks. That's all it has to be. I won't have heard from him in 5-8 years. He's going to say, hey, just wanted to reach out. How you doing? Thanks. That's all I'll need.
Hey, the Olympics are underway.
And we're watching them. We really are.
Yeah, women's hockey. Canada won. USA's up 2-0 late first against Finland. It'll be the U.S. and Canada for the gold, but that's okay.
Because that's what they do in that sport.
Right. But just saying, the Olympics are on. I've never, ever, I'm telling you, I think the pandemic made damn near, I think it's going to dramatically change the Olympics going forward.
It's hard today for an event to lose all of its luster and then gain it back.
Yeah.
Is this boxing? If you know what I'm,
the only way that I believe in this country, because we bankroll the Olympics. I mean, the American television dollar, therefore the American sports fan and casual sports fan that consumes the Olympics every other year, we bankroll the Olympics. And we didn't watch the last summer games, pushed back a year because of the pandemic. And then when it happened, we didn't watch. We ain't going to watch this either.
No. And the more I've tried to read a little bit, we actually have a male figure skater who could win gold. We have a female figure skater that's got a shot for gold. I mean, we have athletes in the right sports.
Yeah.
Because the Olympics are not for us. They're for our significant others.
Correct. Yeah.
Outside of hockey, which is going to cross over if the men do well or whatever the case may be. But most of the sports that do well in the Olympics do well for a female audience.
Correct.
We have athletes in those sports
that should do well.
Therefore,
in theory, normal times, the NBC would have a great 2.5 weeks.
And for whatever reason, that audience doesn't care about or never used to care about time differences.
Right.
They would show things that we already, even when we knew the results, even when we were at a technological point that we knew that David Moulton was going to win the male figure skating, we still watched at 8 o'clock Eastern or 8 o'clock Pacific. We didn't in the last games.
Right. And huge time difference this year. It's in China. It's like, 12 hours?
The same thing we just dealt with the summer games.
Yeah. So the expectation, and there's been no buzz.
That's the other thing.
I mean, there is no buzz. Your wife, we've joked over the years, your wife is an Olympic geek. I mean, a nerd about the Olympic sports. There's an Olympic channel out there. There's 17 of you that are aware of it, 3 of you that watch it. One of the 3 is Mark's wife.
Yep.
Records stuff on it all the time, watches Olympic events year round on the Olympic channel. And she is not buzzing about this winter games.
I knew there was a problem in the household when there was some preliminary figure skating events, the U.S. Nationals and some of the European Nationals, and stuff that normally she would be in on.
Commandeering the television type deal.
And it's, when she entered into my life and saw 3 televisions on the wall, at first she was scared. As we've grown together, she now knows that she always has a television. I'll be watching a hockey game and collegiate gymnastics will be on the other TV. She doesn't need the sound.
Right.
She doesn't care. Every once in a while she'll go, hey, stop, watch this. This girl was good. And I do that. Not one time has a television been on a Winter Olympic sport at all, David.
So we're going to have a Summer Olympics, which is going to do horribly. We're going to have a Winter Olympics, which is going to do horribly. The next Olympics in a couple years is going to be, I believe, in Italy.
Right.
So we're looking at another 5 to 6 hour time difference. Here's what I think between the pandemic and how we as a country have changed. The only way I believe going forward that the IOC is going to get the kind of money that they need apparently to bankroll them being in existence, kind of like the NCAA needing the money from March Madness. If all of a sudden CBS and Turner and what have you said, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, we're going to offer you like 30 cents on the dollar, the NCAA would be screwed. I mean, there's no 2 ways about it. That bankrolls their existence. Well, Mark, going forward, I'm telling you, if you're the IOC, you may have to put these Olympics in North and South America.
I think the next Olympics are in Paris, by the way.
Okay, sorry. I said Italy.
And
Paris.
I think those will
No, I
do
think
well.
you're right. And then, well, it's 5 hours, though.
It'll do
better.
The 5
It'll do
hours
much
is fine.
better.
The 5 hours we can deal with.
Now, we get them in L.A., I think, in 2028.
Correct.
Okay, so that'll do great.
Yes.
That'll do great. It'll all be live. Okay, obviously, it's in America. It will be all in. But I really think going forward, that's about the end of the TV rights deal. And NBC is basically going to say to the IOC, yeah, you can't put these Olympics in all the places you want to put them. I need them in North or South America.
Well, and look at what NBC has done here in the last little bit as far as their sports goes. They've ended their cable sports channel. They just took it out of circulation. Where have they spent their money? Premier League. I mean, they've made calculated shifts in programming. I know it's a separate pile of money, but when you're forking out what they're forking out for other properties, are they also in turn forking them out saying, yeah, we're not spending that? I mean, if they already said, yeah, we ain't spending what we've been spending on the Olympics.
No, can't do it. I mean, the pandemic combined with where the 2 Olympic Games affected by the pandemic are, which is halfway around the world and the 12-hour time difference, you combined those 2 facts, and I really believe that Olympic viewing in this country has changed forever. And the only way NBC or any other network is going to say to the IOC, we'll pay that price tag, but you got to put the games where we are.
Yeah, and I think I differ from you a little bit. I think the European games, from just some of the stuff I've read, the TV numbers would do typically okay. And even with the time delay, you get enough on live, you get enough things on the weekends that Europe works. Not like America does, but Europe works. What they can't have. And it's interesting because, Tokyo and China now have forked out for, 3 of the last 5 or 6 games. China's always going to have the money to host these if they want to.
Right. Well, and the Arab Emirates and what have you, they'll do a summer of games. Sure, we'll give you the money. We'll build the arenas.
Absolutely.
And what have you. We can do it.
It's a great PR coup for these countries. Right. I mean, right now there's a controversy because it's either a skier or it's a figure skater or a skier that decided to ski for a skier that decided to ski. Her mom was born in China. She was raised in the States. she's skiing for China in the Olympics. It's caused kind of a big
Right.
to do.
Yeah. She's an export type of,
Yeah.
and she's going to win, they
Golds.
think, 3 golds. And she made a business decision. All right. Yeah. She would have been a big deal in America and she would have made a few $1 million. Okay. She's going to be Kobe Bryant.
Right.
In China. That kind of money she's going to make.
So when there's that kind of money over there, they're still going to be involved in the games, though.
But yeah, 16-year-old girl and mom made the decision basically for her. Yeah, you're going to represent China in these games.
Have the Olympics always been on NBC?
No.
ABC forever.
Yeah. When we were growing up and we were your age, it was ABC. 60s, 70s, 80s. Through the 80s, the Olympics were on ABC. CBS had a run in the 90s.
So you mentioned, when is it that NBC's deal with the Olympics ends?
I think it goes to 2030 or maybe 2032.
The
LA Olympics, I believe, is 2028. So they'll get a Europe Olympics, they'll get an LA Olympics. At the end of their TV deal, they'll be okay. They'll lose money, but they'll be okay. And I think, though, they will say to the IOC, don't know what to tell you. I don't think you can pick the sites anymore. You want our money, we got to pick the sites.
Do you think the mouse will pick up the Olympics?
Possible.
That would be
I think what you look at, though, is not the mouse as much as you look at Amazon. If you're gonna take and extrapolate this out there, look at your Amazons. Look at does a Hulu, does a Fubu, one of these other companies emerge in the next 6-8 years, and they're taking that digital presence as well. I'd look past the traditional networks going forward. But once again, if monetarily you're not making money, they're not going to just throw that much money at these games.
Amazon, Apple TV, Amazon's in the NFL. Apple TV is apparently making a huge play for the Sunday ticket. So, yeah, just keep it in mind. The one other thing, and I don't know if people care about this, but I mean, those listening to us right now, you figure are pretty hardcore sports fans. Have you noticed all of the games that are being broadcast not on site? Like, how many of you just watched the Australian Open? There wasn't a single announcer on ESPN that was on site.
Even at the
It was all done from New York and Connecticut. They didn't send anybody because of COVID. NBC is doing the Olympics 2.5 weeks. Not a single announcer is at the Olympics. They're doing it all from Connecticut.
It's absurd.
Well, and I believe that Chris Fowler will never be back in Australia again. They just did the Australian Open. The ratings are pretty much the same. Why do we have to send them?
There's the point. The broadcast may have suffered greatly, but when they look at the ratings and they're basically the same, why bother?
And so when you're keep it in mind, if you do watch the Olympics over the next 2.5 weeks, that none of the announcers are on site. They're broadcasting games off monitors in New York and Connecticut. And do you notice? And if so, how much does it bother you? Because if it doesn't, NBC's going to be like, well, hell, next time we're live at an Olympics, we'll be in Los Angeles.
Now, do they take that same approach in Paris? Because I'm sure a lot of those announcers are going to want to go to Paris.
Hey, whether they want to or not, it's what the network tells them, because the network's the one paying the bills. We will switch gears and talk a little soccer on the other side. You know, they play that in Minneapolis, St. Paul in February. Glenn Davis will join us next. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network.
Bring your big mouth to John Smith Subs and indulge in their overstuffed subs with the freshest quality ingredients. Enjoy our famous steak bomb with perfectly grilled marinated sirloin steak topped with provolone cheese, grilled onions, peppers, mushrooms, crispy bacon, juicy tomatoes, and creamy mayo. Boom! Made-to-order crispy fries can be paired with the Gator, the Cuban, the chicken bomb, or the Italian. Love local. Eat delicious with John Smith Subs. Find a John Smith Subs location near you today.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg, February 25th to the 27th. 3-day tickets are on sale now at gpstpete.com. It's fast, fun, family entertainment jam-packed into 3 days. The weekend is highlighted by the NTT IndyCar Series race taking the green flag on Sunday afternoon. It all happens at the Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, February 25th to the 27th. Get your tickets at gpstpete.com to secure the best seats.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
I don't understand.
Does anyone in the Twitch chat watch Star Wars? Just out of curiosity. Because if you do, and you're keeping up with Book of Boba Fett, I know you loved that last episode. Oh my God. If you haven't seen the latest episode of Book of Boba Fett, do yourself a freaking favor and watch it.
He was competitor, lead producer,
Man.
writer for the match. Apparently, he took over.
Star Wars is on fuego right now. Putting out some of their best stuff yet.
Right?
That sequel trilogy, not good.
Our
Not
buddy
good at
John
all.
McMullen's been
Really, was
crushing
there a
the
new one yesterday?
WWE
Yes.
For like a year and a half now.
Yes.
It's like, man, these storylines
Dead
are
Streak.
bad.
Listen, man.
These productions are good. He's been saying
I'm
good
not gonna
things
spoil it.
about, what's it, the AEW?
Watch it.
Cons League.
Watch it.
Did you see J.R. Smith got a NIL deal?
Yes, I did see that.
Well, the reason why they're bashing it vile is because the show really has gotten to a point where Boba is like
Oh my God.
an afterthought.
Oh my God. Stick to the NBA. Now we're in
No.
Star Wars?
Yes,
Oh,
Star
my
Wars.
God. Should we call Seth?
Boba Fett. He's got his own show now, Boba Fett.
Book of Boba Fett.
The Book
What
of
the
Boba-
hell is going on here?
Star Wars is back, baby.
Star Wars sucks.
Oh, come on.
Everything about Star Wars
You never had a
sucks.
childhood.
First off, I was a child when Star Wars came out. I saw it in the theaters as
You-
a
and you hated
7 or
it?
8-year-old. I thought it was fine. It's the only one I saw in the theater. It was cool. The lightsabers were really cool back then. Like that was the cool. The lightsaber
It was groundbreaking.
was cool as hell.
DC, third trilogy was garbage.
Third trilogy was garbage. I agree. But the story of Star Wars is the crazy thing.
Oh God.
It's a war in the stars.
Do you have a guest to call or something?
Yeah, I do. Football is life for my Ted Lasso fans. But also, football is death.
Guy sent me a tweet, said, I think it's time to change your Twitter handle now to the grandfather, David Moulton. That's funny.
The Soccer Matters podcast. What he does.
Yeah.
I like the Finns uniforms.
Big Baby Davis is on hold.
Look at you.
Come on, man. His name's Glenn Davis.
I know.
Come on. No, I didn't watch Superman and Lois. That looks doo-doo. Looks terrible.
Kenzie, you're so right. It is just better than what? The Disney Plus series are better than what? The movies? Great.
Yeah. Actually,
I don't have the time.
I know you don't. Listen, I know you're never gonna watch it
Ever.
I know.
I'm still trying to get through Breaking Bad for crying out loud so I can start watching
Coming
The
back.
Wire.
You are listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network. And now here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
It is the bonus hour of Miller and Moulton here on the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Thanks so much for being with us. It's been a little while since we talked with Glenn Davis. He covers soccer for ESPN. He covers the Houston Dynamo. He hosts the Soccer Matters podcast, and you can follow Glenn on Twitter at Glenn Davis Soc. That's Glenn Davis SOC. Glenn, it's David and Mark once again. Hope you've been well. How are you?
David, Mark, good morning. Doing well. Thank you very much for having me on the show.
All right, Glenn, this is a stupid question, so I want to get it out of the way right away. No, I mean it. Why in the world are they playing World Cup qualifiers in St. Paul in February? August, yes. February. I mean, Orlando's available. You live in Houston's available. Why did we have to play this in Three Below?
Well, here's the thinking behind this. For many years, the U.S. was not into the gamesmanship game, which meant, anytime the U.S. would play Mexico, you go to altitude and smog in Mexico City, which really affects anybody coming in there to play Mexico, right? Bolivia plays in La Paz at the highest altitude ever. Nobody can beat Bolivia at home, right? Even though teams like Argentina would come in there with better players. Quito in Ecuador, they play at altitude, right? So this was the U.S.'s stroke and work at gamesmanship in CONCACAF qualifying, because Hondurans are used to, for the most case, this is the thinking, outside of the ones on the Honduran national team that play in Europe, they're used to a different climate, humidity, so you wouldn't want to play it in Florida and put them in a comfortable situation. So that's why they did this. I think it was 3 degrees at kickoff. Now, the other secondary reason I read from the coach, Greg Berhalter, was that their flight from Canada after they lost a couple of days ago in Canada was shorter to go to St. Paul. So for those 2 reasons, less travel and obviously trying to make Honduras uncomfortable, which worked because I think those guys are pretty much thawing out today.
Well, there's no doubt that it worked, but I guess my only question to ask you, Glenn, if they were that good against Honduras and they won the other game they played against El Salvador in Columbus, which was cooler temperatures, did we lay an egg against Canada in the cold weather there, or was it a better performance than we should get credit for, even though they lost 2-0?
Canada's the cream of the crop in CONCACAF right now. They're number one. Last night, Honduras, they looked so frigid and cold that they gave the U.S. so much room to play soccer last night. If you go back a couple days ago and you watch the Canada game, anytime anybody got a ball in the Canadian half of the field, there were 2 Canadians pressing them, clutching, kicking, grabbing. Completely different games, completely different caliber of teams right now. Honduras is last in qualifying, while Canada is number 1, and Canada has not been to a World Cup since 1986.
Well, and they would have to fall on their face right now to not qualify for this World Cup. They lead the group by 4 points. We're talking U.S. men's national team and World Cup qualifying with Glenn Davis, the host of the Soccer Matters podcast. U.S. men's national coach came out after that 2-0 loss to Canada and said, yeah, we dominated. I know we lost on the scoreboard, have never been with a team that's performed this well and had such a bad result. Was he in denial, or was there some there?
Well, you guys have been around coaches long enough, and a lot of times we get the coach speak. Look, did they dominate possession? Sure. Did they dominate territorial play? Yes. Did they dominate the tactics? No, because they allowed a very poor first goal, which gave the tactical advantage to Canada. Canada was an immovable object defending deep. They couldn't break them down. So, I think it's just posturing sometimes. I don't think the U.S. played as bad as many people say. I don't think they played as good as Coach Greg Berhalter thinks they played. They made some very critical mistakes, which everybody knows in World Cup qualifying is costly, right? I mean, the first goal was given up in a very elementary way with a poor goal kick from goalkeeper Matt Turner, who hits it straight up the center of the field. Doesn't even reach the halfway line, and it's right back down your throats, and it's 1-0. So, yeah, I don't buy that. Move the ball well and things. Sure, they did, but I mean, they were allowed to have the ball in their own half of the field. But once they got into the Canadian half of the field, Canada was like a pack of dogs putting pressure on the ball, and they're built for the counterattack. So, I go back to that first mistake. It changed the whole day for the U.S.
All right, and you said Canada's the cream of the crop, and by points they are. It's troubling when they haven't made the cup in so long to think that they're the cream of the crop in our region here in the CONCACAF. So what is it that the U.S. has to do? I mean, how they should be better than Canada. They're going to seemingly qualify for the World Cup. Where are the areas that they need to improve upon if when they get in the World Cup, they're going to start trying to do something?
Yeah, so I say Canada is the cream of the crop in the context of this World Cup qualifying phase, right? But look, Canada's like the United States. They have players now playing in Europe. They got one of the best outside backs in the world, a left back named Alphonso Davies, who plays week in and week out for Bayern Munich in Germany. So let me get back to your original question is what do we have to do is I think a lot of this right now for me is patience. This is a national team that's maturing. The average age is about 24 years old. We are in unprecedented times with these players, and that means we've never had players playing at Juventus, Barcelona, Chelsea, all these big clubs. And some of these are attacking players as well, right? There's more and more players being bought from the United States to go over to Europe. DC United and MLS just sold a kid for $7 or $8 million. He's 17 years old, Kevin Paredes. So there's a lot of unprecedented things going on right now. So I'm optimistic because these guys qualify for this World Cup with all these players at 21 and 22. They get that experience, and then in 2026, you're hosting it. The striker position has to emerge. That's a young kid there, Ricardo Pepi. I think we're lean there. But, the future is bright. I mean, these are amazing times for soccer when it comes to the American player, how the American player is valued overseas now, and the opportunities they're getting. It's off the charts. It's far different than when I played professional soccer, and I mean far different.
Do you like the job that Berhalter's doing? Having to play a lot of guys for a variety of reasons in the last year or so, but just also the style of play, which has always been an issue with the U.S., figuring out what our style is going to be with the group that we have. Do you like what you are seeing in terms of who's playing and how we're playing?
Yeah, I think the aggressive nature of the national team now and the fact that they can pressure teams higher up the field is a big deal. I think a lot of that comes from a lot of this. Number one, it comes in the change of the modern game. But number two, it comes from, this midfield that started, 2 games ago, Yunus Musa and Tyler Adams and Weston McKennie and Kellen Acosta. These are young, pressing, athletic guys. I mean, the level of athleticism is remarkable to have in the middle of the middle third of your team. To have that kind of energy in a midfield that supports a front line and protects a back line is pretty remarkable without getting too heavy into it. But, Greg Berhalter, I think the knock on him is sometimes people think he's overly detailed and slightly mechanical and should probably give players a little bit more freedom in certain areas. Nobody's ever going to challenge his work ethic, his desire, his want for the national team. But look, every single coach, pretty much in qualifying, is under some sort of pressure. The only one that there's a real total love affair for right now is probably John Herdman, the coach of Canada. But if you're the Honduran coach today, you're probably not the most well-liked guy in Honduras because you're not going to the World Cup.
Glenn, we've had you on a bunch, and David and I have followed this sport for a long time, and I'm sure you get sick and tired of having to explain, why it's different this time. But to me, Glenn, when you just pointed out what the league paid to the MLS DC team, that was the moment that kind of opened my eyes, because I've heard for a generation, well, it's this group, it's this group, it's this group. When the European clubs are spending that, forking over that kind of money to get 17-year-olds over, that should be the indication to the rest of us that this actually might be different.
Yes, because player development is advanced in this country. A lot of that now has come on a lot of great coaches around the country. A lot of that responsibility is on the MLS teams. Some of the teams have taken it very seriously for a number of years and are reaping the benefits. But that combination of players playing at top clubs and getting real opportunity in the toughest leagues in the world. And remember, Jurgen Klinsmann was telling the American player when he was a national team coach, you need to go to Europe. We need to get players in Europe. And if you remember, there was a big backlash from the MLS commissioner, Don Garber, because he didn't want those players leaving the league. While everybody out there just said, wait a second, you want that. I mean, you want that. You want to be connected to Europe. So now it's a big buying and selling league. Some MLS teams are positioned better than others because they've taken their player development side of their clubs more serious and invested in it. They're reaping the benefits. The American players reaping the benefit of the opportunity. And then ultimately these guys come back seasoned, mature, experiencing all kinds of ups and downs in the best leagues in the world. And that can only help your national team.
Talking the U.S. men's national team with Glenn Davis. He covers soccer for ESPN. He covers the Houston Dynamo, and he hosts the Soccer Matters podcast. You can follow Glenn on Twitter, Glenn Davis Sock. That's Glenn Davis SOC. Glenn, my final question, since it was 3 degrees or 3 below or whatever, and Honduras looked as if, please get me out of here. Do we take anything away from the 3-0 win? Because they scored all 3 goals off set pieces after having 10 qualifying matches in which they didn't score a single goal off a set piece. Do we take something away from that, or do we just have to dismiss the result because Honduras was just too cold to play?
I think you go down the middle. The 3 set piece, the set piece delivery was very good in this game. That was from Kellen Acosta, who got the start over Tyler Adams because Adams had a hamstring injury, I believe. So, you just measure it. You keep it balanced. You don't go too high. You don't go too low. That's a vital 3 points going into the last 3 games. You're positioned well. You're going to go to the World Cup. You got to get your business done in the next round at the end of March. And we're back in the World Cup. And remember one other thing, and I think this is very key. We remember how everybody was so upset we didn't qualify for the World Cup, right? And I'm sure sponsors were as well. So you had to walk some people off the ledge. But what not qualifying for that last World Cup did for the United States, it accelerated the opportunity for all these great young guys who got additional experience, and that process began a lot earlier. And we're reaping the benefits of that. There's exciting times to come, and this is still a youthful, maturing U.S. national team.
Glenn, thanks for spending the time with us. We really appreciate it. We hope all is well with you, and probably in about 6 weeks when they're trying to get those 9 valuable points. Is it okay if we call you again?
You can call me anytime. I love coming on your show. I love talking soccer with you, and much appreciated as always.
Glenn, all the best. Glenn Davis, based out of Houston, covers soccer for ESPN, has been covering the Houston Dynamo for many years. He does a podcast. It's called Soccer Matters. And follow Glenn on Twitter, Glenn with 2 N's, Glenn Davis Sock. That's Glenn Davis SOC.
What Barcelona has their instruction camp down in Naples, Florida. There's stuff in the Tampa area. I mean, what we've done nationwide, Florida's a big part of it. And it's hard. You and I are both in our 50s. We've been hearing this for a couple generations now. It's tough to take seriously. However, when the European leagues start buying out 17-year-old players for record amounts of money.
Right.
You have to stand back and go, well, wait a minute.
That's different. Right. We've always bought their players at the end of their careers to play in our league when they're on their way out. Wait, now they're buying our players on the way up to play in their league?
And like Glenn said, okay, we're weak at striker. He's now pointing to a spot on our lineup saying we're weak here, as opposed to we've got one really good player here. Okay.
The Olympics
still should never lose to Canada.
I'd agree with that. I'd agree with that. It's a little alarming that we're not winning our group, but that's okay. Just, listen, after 2018, just get in the sucker.
Absolutely.
Olympics are underway.
We've got
I don't know if anyone else does. All right, but the Olympics are underway. They're in China.
USA.
There's 23 people allowed at all the events, and they're not allowed to cheer. It's going to be a great atmosphere. The people covering the games are in New York and Connecticut. I mean, it's going to be scintillating. But right now, U.S. women's hockey team's up 4-0 on Finland. They're skating them into the ground. It's actually pretty entertaining. Miller and Moulton. Thanks so much for listening here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial and use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. The Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
Years and Rune Arledge. Okay, Vern said with 3 years left on the contract, Rune Arledge turned to everybody and said, fuck son.
Think of how bad of a rating it is to get a 2-1
when there's
three channels.
Yeah, that's what. And so Vern said, so we mailed in 3 years worth of soccer on ABC after that.
That's funny.
Vern tells a funny story. He said he was literally the only person who worked for ABC Sports at the network level who was not assigned to the 1980 Winter Olympics. He goes, at that moment, I realized I may not have a future with these guys.
Yep. I remember you telling that.
Hockey question. What's tougher, the Olympics or the NHL?
Well, the NHL.
It's got to be, yeah.
But when they let these guys play in the Olympics, it's unbelievable because it's the best players and they're actually trying. It's not an exhibition. They go at it one another.
Right, but the whole country rivalry doesn't make the game a little more physical.
Well, not than the NHL because the NHL is far more physical. But they actually in international hockey will play physical hockey.
Do they let them play as physical in the NHL? Or my bad. Let me phrase that properly.
No.
Like there's not as much.
There's as much hitting, but there's no after the whistle stuff.
Gotcha. Yeah, because that's an NHL thing.
Well, it's a North American thing, but yes.
Yeah. They keep it classy in the Olympics. Oh, that was close.
I don't know if it's they keep it classy. It's that the Europeans have always been a lot softer to want to play that way. Their styles are very different.
Right.
No, they don't play on the Olympic ice. They play on NHL ice now.
Oh, because the ice used to be different.
Used to be 15 feet wider, but they're not doing that anymore.
15 feet wider?
Yeah, it was 200 by 100. It's what they should go to across the board, but they won't because you're losing more. You're going to lose 2 rows of seats in an arena.
Holy shit.
that needs ticket sales.
That's a big difference right there.
It's huge.
Yeah.
For a defenseman, it is unbelievable how much harder it is for a D-man.
I can only imagine. Since I've never played hockey before.
Well, Sun King Naples, first off, it's one thing to offer the $100,000 to lose, but Flores is on record as saying that basically he didn't coach that way. So, yeah, while what Ross did should get him kicked out of the league, I mean, you could also argue that the Dolphins were not tanking. I mean, Flores has said, I wasn't tanking. I was trying to win every game. Now, if you remember the first half of his first season, not only did they start 0-7, but that's when they were trading everybody away and acquiring draft picks. And clearly that's Ross and Greer. I mean, I don't think Flores had the cachet in the organization to be demanding trades and all that.
What are the odds Bruce Arians is the coach of the Buccaneers next year?
50-50?
Yeah.
It's really a toss-up, right? He leaves.
Bulls will get it, I think.
It's just, where is Brian Flores going to coach?
Oh, it's funny. I actually think he still has a chance to get the Houston job, as crazy as that sounds. The GM there was with him with the Patriots.
10 seconds.
Thanks for listening. And now, more of Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network.
"23 minutes past the hour, about 15 minutes away from the good, the bad, and the ugly. What's on tap today was the day when, and some final thoughts on this first Thursday in February. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, the Florida Sports Network. Our poll question, pretty simple one. Which Florida NFL teams had a worse week? I mean, here are the Jags, 7 weeks and counting since they fired Urban. Still can't get anybody to take the damn job because nobody wants to work with Trent Baalke except for the owner, Mr. Khan. He apparently really likes working with him.
Heard Mike Florio yesterday in an interview say he had an opinion. I want to see if you buy it. He thought that Baalke was a complete hindrance in them hiring a coach, like everybody has come to the conclusion of. But he thought that the Leftwich and, the
Adrian Wilson of the
Cardinals, that package would still happen. That basically he felt that Baalke had a week at this point now because they wanted Leftwich. Leftwich doesn't want Baalke. That basically Khan's giving Baalke the rest of the week to find somebody that in Khan's eyes is better than Leftwich. And if that's not the case, he'll still blow out Baalke and bring in those two. That was Florio yesterday in an interview. I didn't buy that because to me, if that were the case, it would have already been done.
I think that Leftwich, in the eyes of Mr. Khan, was overplaying his hand. Because what Leftwich did was what Hackett, who got the Broncos job, so Hackett's interviewing for the Broncos, and the story goes that, they're not going to offer him the job, but he's their number one candidate. And a disagreement broke out, and Hackett said, well, then I'm leaving. I'm getting on the plane. I got an interview tomorrow in Jacksonville. And they went, whoa. No. We can't have that happen. Sit down here. No. And apparently they acquiesced to what it was that Hackett wanted, and he got the gig. Well, that Leftwich did the same thing. That Leftwich said, listen, do this. He's gone, what have you, or fine. I got a job interview over here. And apparently Mr. Khan said, well, go to the job interview. Good luck.
Right. And I guess what he's still giving bogged down. But see, I think that ship sailed with Leftwich. I don't think that comes back into port. I don't know.
Well, I think it could, though. Here's what's surprising to me. You can't get Jim Caldwell to take this job. I mean, I could be wrong here, but I think Jim's 67 years old. I mean, Jim can't be choosy at this point.
No.
Even if you think, man, this is going to be a bit of a mess here. I mean, the owner doesn't know what he's doing, and Trent Baalke's a pain in the butt, but I do get Trevor Lawrence, and we got a lot of cap room. I mean, we can't get every player wrong, and I mean, division's going to be really winnable here in about a year or so because Tennessee's window's closing. They got like next year, and then them and the Chiefs after 2022 are going to have to get creative. So you could make the case if you're Jacksonville and Houston, you're like, give us one more year, build properly, and who knows, 23 could be a transition year in this division. But, you can't get Doug Peterson to say yes. You can't get Jim Caldwell to say yes. That would concern me if I was Mr. Khan from afar. If I'm not even paying attention, I'm like, hold on a second. I can't get the 55 and 65-year-old guys who have been out of the league for the last year or so. I can't get them to take this job.
Well, I would love to know, and we'll never find out, who else has been offered this? Who else has been offered interviews that turned them down? Because that was the story that I was hearing yesterday. Is it's not just the people who have been in. There have been plenty others that they've called that said, yeah, I'm not interested in interviewing because of who your general manager is.
Right. Well, you've heard Pat say it, and Pat will be on the show again tomorrow. You've heard Pat say he's advised a friend of his and also some younger executives who turned to Pat for some advice. And he has said, listen, you're better off not taking a job, even though it's a promotion, if it's a bad spot. I know you'll be frustrated in the whole deal, but I really would urge you to stay where it is you are. And I think that part of that happened with Dan Quinn. Dan was not getting, he interviewed for 6 jobs. Well, there's 2 of them that, man, I'd really love this one and this one. And when he didn't get it, he kind of said, I think I might be better off just going back to Dallas as opposed to maybe getting that one or that one.
Well, particularly when you've been there before. Fail once, you get another opportunity. Fail twice, you may be done forever.
Right. But it is alarming that the Jaguars at this point in time don't have a coach.
It's been nearly 2 months, David.
Right. It's the Dolphins, the Saints, Houston. Okay. I mean, you and I think it's ridiculous. Miami doesn't have a coach.
But the Saints in Houston, okay.
Yeah, because Houston apparently really wrestled with firing Culley or not.
Which is asinine, by the way.
Yeah, I mean, it was, but at least it was a last-minute decision. You and I both come to the conclusion, come on, Ross knew when they lost to Tennessee week 17 and they were eliminated from the playoffs, Ross knew at that moment he was firing Flores. So they had a week to formulate a plan.
And it certainly still to this day appears that there is no plan, that their plan was, we're going to post the job on Indeed.com and see who gives us a resume.
Hey, is it on LinkedIn?
Do you have the post up yet about the job opening for our head coaching vacancy?
Let's take out a classified in the Palm Beach Post.
Right. See if we got any trade left with the Herald. Sorry, that was a little inside joke.
Right. But
they love trade in this business.
For Jacksonville. And also, I mean, think about it. Trevor Lawrence, a ton of cap room, and a division that's considered soft and is going to be vulnerable here in 12 months. I mean, think about it. Deshaun Watson's leaving the division, and that franchise is a mess. Tennessee's window is closing. And Indianapolis, they.
And even with Tennessee, their window's closing. We don't know how much it closed. Derrick Henry just came back from an injury. We don't know how good they are even entering next year. Certainly think they're going to take a step back from where they were this year.
And Jacksonville can't get people who want this job. Remember when the 8 jobs opened up, which is now 9 because of New Orleans, and think about it, could be 10 if Arians walks away. We could replace 10 coaches.
By the way, Jacksonville's in Florida the last time I checked, right?
Yeah.
What's the state tax situation here?
Bupkis.
Do you know what it costs to live in Jacksonville versus nearly every other NFL franchise?
Yeah.
I mean, you're not in Tampa or Miami. You're in Jacksonville.
And there's some really nice communities on the water, not that far away. Yeah. You can have a nice life there.
By the way, how's the media situation? Is it like New York? Oh, it's Jacksonville.
Right.
Where they care more about the Gators than they do your team in your town.
I mean, I will say, though, the people are getting a little ornery there. They're tired of all the losing. They're not lap dogs like they used to be.
The fans, maybe, but the media, you're dealing with 2 guys.
Well, listen, I will say JP, for a guy who gets paid by the organization, okay, all the media stuff that comes out is far more critical than you would think.
Okay. I know he's your friend, but come on, you got to work with me, or it's not Chicago. It's not New York.
No.
This is the easiest media job that there is in the league.
I think Green Bay's got to be the easiest, because, I mean, literally the town would cease to exist. But, yes, it's top 5.
But at least there's Milwaukee and Madison people. You're
right.
And the Chicago guy may show up. He may ask you, I mean, Jacksonville, you've got nothing.
Bupkis, right. No, it's easy. It's soft.
If Green Bay's right, and I'll grant you that. It's the second easiest media job in the league. There's 32. I mean, this is not that hard.
I could argue the Chargers only because no one cares. You don't even know if people
you get the millionaire
show up.
tax in LA. You got all the other things that you're living in California.
Yep.
You're wearing a mask everywhere.
Yes, you are. Not at the NFC Championship game, though. It's good. All good at the end. But the Super Bowl 2 weeks later, got to have the mask. We were laughing about that as we were having to walk around the stadium.
And nobody wants the job.
Right. Trevor Lawrence.
Right.
I mean,
who was considered the best can't-miss prospect since Andrew Luck.
Right. Nobody wants this job.
What's Trevor Lawrence thinking right now? USFL still got an opportunity?
Sure, he's thinking, hey, can I go to Carolina instead of Deshaun? I will say, if I'm Mr. Khan, wouldn't this get you to stop you in your tracks? Can't somebody tap him on the shoulder and go, nobody wants our job? I mean, we gotta take a step back here and look at it in the mirror.
This is a little self-evaluation time.
Yeah. I mean, nobody wants our job. We nowhere to go but up. I mean, number 1 pick 2 years in a row. We got a ton of cap room. And we got a young franchise quarterback that at least we think we do until proven otherwise. And nobody wants this gig.
Seems to be what we have in front of us.
Man, do we need we got to repaint the house, man. And we can't sell this sucker. That real estate agent, what they've been telling us is right.
Miller and Moulton. The good, the bad, and the ugly. Today was a day win, and what's on tap? All still ahead right here on the Florida Sports Network.
Hey, it's Mark Miller for the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. Improve your golf game from home with Orange Whip Golf and Fitness online swing training program, The Training Grove. With a growing swing training video library and a daily program prescribed by golf fitness professionals, The Grove provides a clear path to unlock your most powerful swing, giving you control of your game like never before. Join thousands like me who have finally found a way to achieve results in half the time of traditional game improvement methods with The Grove's revolutionary blend of golf fitness, instruction, and award-winning Orange Whip products. Go to orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. And use code Miller10 to get $20 off your first month. That's orangewhipgolf.com to get started for a free 14-day risk-free trial. Remember to use code Miller10. That will get you $20 off your first month. the Training Grove by Orange Whip Golf, where golfers go to get better. You are listening to Miller and Moulton on the Florida Sports Network. Composer lives in Naples. It does Olympic music, apparently. That's what's on NBC2.
Semesco goes for 600 tonight.
So apparently we killed an ISIS leader with an attack overnight, and he blew himself up with his family before we got him. That's what I'm talking about. Daddy Big Rich following us. Thank you. 701. Hit that follow button. Hit that follow button.
Have the Red Wings ever won a Stanley Cup?
4 in my lifetime.
Whoa. 4?
4 or 3. 3.
3. The
3.
Penguins won Game 7.
Yeah, 3 in my lifetime.
No, 4.
4.
The early, because they had 2.
They had a back-to-back.
Then they beat Carolina, and then they beat Pittsburgh.
Be Philly, Carolina, Pittsburgh, and Washington.
Philly, Washington.
Philly,
then
Washington, Carolina,
and
then Pittsburgh, and then lost the following year.
Right.
So 4 in my lifetime. In my lifetime, I've experienced, like for my teams, the Pistons have won 3. 4.
3.
3.
04 and
Pistons,
then
yeah, they
back-to-back.
only won the 1 there. Pistons have won 3. Tigers have won 1. Red Wings have won 4. And Michigan State won a Big Ten title and 2 Big Ten titles and went to a playoff.
And then there's the Lions.
I'm not a Lions fan. I'm literally not.
All right,
It
if you
my
had an
whole
NFL
life.
team, I'm putting a gun to your head right now. Choose one NFL.
Pittsburgh
team.
because of my wife.
Makes Makes sense.
But if you were to ask me, I want to watch the best game that's being played.
10 seconds.
My NFL team right now is the Super Bowl, and I'll tell you next week 1 who it is.
Hey, you're the Tiger. Go Bengals.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, exclusively on the Florida Sports Network.
20 minutes until the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, the Florida Sports Network, Florida Sports Network. Pat Kerwin will join us tomorrow live from Mobile, Alabama, and the Senior Bowl. It rained yesterday, and the NFL people loved it because you get to see all these guys play in bad weather. Everything's not perfect and what have you. Quarterbacks and receivers with a wet ball, and the NFL people loved it. Apparently, the weather's supposed to be terrible today. They're going to have to bring it indoors. But yesterday,
South
they left them
Alabama's got
outside.
their practice facility built now,
Right.
so they actually.
Right.
Doesn't Mobile, Alabama get some of the most rain out of any city in the nation?
I don't know that.
I think I saw something like that one time. I don't know.
I would think this time of the year, though, it would be less, but
Can't help you with that.
No.
I would go with like Seattle or Portland, but that's just me.
Right now, it is time for
Leave it to the oldest guy in the show, and definitely the oldest soul, to live in the past. Here's David Moulton with Today Was the Day When.
We're starting in 1863, Mark. Samuel Clemens uses the pen name Mark Twain for the first time when he wrote a piece in a Virginia City newspaper called the Territorial Enterprise. 19 years later, P.T. Barnum buys his world-famous elephant, Jumbo. That's where it started,
All right.
140 years ago today. 1913, the 16th Amendment was ratified. That's when the federal income tax came to be.
All right.
Yeah, 109 years ago. 1942, baseball owners, think about this, 80 years ago today, baseball owners agreed to allow each team to play as many as 14 night games. That's how much, everything took place during the afternoon. Okay, all right. We'll let you play at night. No more than 14 times, though. Going to have to play the other nearly 70 times during the day. Mark, tragic day in music history. 63 years ago today, it was the day the music died. The plane crash near Clear Lake, Iowa, that killed Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, J.P. Richardson, and the pilot. 1964, Meet the Beatles album went gold. Purple Haze was recorded on this day, Mark, by Jimi Hendrix in 1967.
Heard it did pretty well.
Yeah, and it's held up over time.
It really has.
55 years ago today. Remember the movie Serpico? Al Pacino?
Yeah.
Frank Serpico was the cop, and he, the New York police force was riddled with, corruption, and he testified against it. And so the guys, he was a rat, and there was a drug bust going on, and Serpico got shot, and all the cops just stayed on the outside. Hoped he died. Happened on this day in 1971. 1979, two big events, Mark. First, YMCA peaked at number 2.
What was number 1?
I don't know, but thank God.
Yes.
Whatever it was, to be determined. Thank you. Also on this day in 79, the Twins trade Rod Carew to the Angels for 4 players. The systematic destruction of some interesting Larry Heisel, Lyman Bostock, Rod Carew, all sent packing. Where are we? 1986, Pixar was formed with the backing of this guy you may have heard of, Steve Jobs. Remember Bill Shoemaker, the jockey?
Yes.
He retired on this day 32 years ago at the age of 58. He only raced in 40,350 races. That's all. 40,350 races. 1993, also a big day. Reds owner Marge Schott suspended for a year for basically being a racist. And the Rodney King trial got underway in Los Angeles 29 years ago today. Mark, this is for you. Dino Ciccarelli scored his 600th career goal on this day in 1998, but he did so as a member of the Florida Panthers.
I think he, for a while, made this part of the world home. I don't know if he still does.
Also on this day, 24 years ago, Brian Cashman was named general manager of the New York Yankees. Super Bowl 36, the dynasty officially begins today. Patriots 20, Rams 17. Your MVP, Tom Brady. To think he retired Tuesday. Unreal.
It's remarkable.
2008, it was Super Bowl 42. Patriots 18-1. Giants 17-14. Eli, the MVP. 2013, it was the Harbaugh Bowl 9 years ago today. The power failure in New Orleans. Baltimore jumped out to the big lead and held on for dear life to beat the Niners 34-31. Joe Flacco was named MVP, and then he got paid. And 3 years ago today, Patriots 13, Rams 3. Brian Flores, in and around that game, was named head coach of the Dolphins. Your MVP, by the way, in that game was Julian Edelman, not Brady. Fran Tarkenton, Mark, is 82. Bob Greasy is 77. Fred Lynn is 70. Vlade Divac is 54. Jeff Christie, who was the center on the first Bucks Super Bowl team. He was also the center on those Vikings teams of the 90s, including the 98 team that was so prolific, 15-1. Jeff Christie is 53 today, as is Retief Goosen, Mark. Nathan Lane is 66.
Just wanted to give a little color.
Morgan Fairchild is 72. I've got lines drawn and arrows. I did miss one thing. It was 19 years ago today that Phil Spector shot and killed Laura Clarkson at his house. And that
probably could have left that out.
Yeah, I probably could have, but that mark was today was the day.
Just to finish up on your YMCA, David, the album that was number one in the land in 1979, the album was Briefcase Full of Blues by the Blues Brothers. The two songs that were number one in America during the 3 weeks that YMCA was number two was first Le Freak.
Out.
And Do You Think I'm Sexy?
Ah, Rod Stewart.
The two songs over the course of 3 weeks that kept YMCA from the top spot.
You've heard folks elsewhere mock Florida is gonna Florida. Well, Mark Miller sees it differently. He calls it the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
For the good today, David, we go to Boise, Idaho.
Hello.
Thank you. And what's just kind of a cool story. Couple buys a house. They had dark green shingles covering a bedroom wall. So they started taking the shingles down and found out that there was about 1,600 baseball cards from the 70s and 80s glued to the wall.
Oh, no.
They're not going to be worth any money because they
Right.
are glued to the wall. But they took everything down and literally just seeing, you know, for guys like us, David, we'd still be in that room looking at cards.
Oh, man. Darn right. We'd be flipping them up against the wall.
Seeing some Mike Schmitz and some George Bretts and even a Whitey Herzog in there. I just thought that was a pretty cool story. For the bad, Grandpa takes grandson out fishing. And they're in Miami. They're going to fish in a canal. And they get something. Hey, got one. Reel it up. It's pretty heavy. They reeled in 2 sniper rifles out of the canal.
Where was this?
Miami.
Hand those over to the authorities, run some ballistics, and
see what happens. Finally, the ugly, we'll go to Naples, where Christopher Cabrera was arrested yesterday trying to break into hotel rooms in Naples through the balcony. Apparently, he was hopping from balcony to balcony trying to find a door that was open at the Naples Hyatt House on 5th Avenue before he was finally arrested. And that, David, is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, the 3rd of February, 2022.
NBA, the Heat are in action. They're in San Antonio to take on the Spurs. The TNT double dip is Phoenix at Atlanta at 7:30. And it's the Lakers and the Clippers at 10 o'clock. There is no hockey. It's All-Star break time.
All-Star break.
They're in Vegas for the All-Star game. That's a good break. See, they were going to break because, the Olympics.
Right.
But, we're not sending anybody. So at least not from the NHL. And college hoops tonight. By the way, Iowa, Ohio State postponed. Is there something going on with one of those programs with COVID?
Must be.
There's a really good game, and it's on early. It's 8 o'clock on ESPN.
That's not early. That's late. 6:30 is early, David.
Sorry, Mark. It's early for these two teams. It's a 5 o'clock local tip. UCLA and Arizona, two of the top 10 teams in the country. Arizona's a 7-point favorite.
It's a really good game right there.
Yeah, thank you.
USF UCF play tonight at 7 o'clock. UCF an 11.5-point favorite in that one.
FGCU men and women are in Central Arkansas. The men are a 5.5-point favorite. Before that, the women, who are nationally ranked in both polls, Carl Semesco going for career win number 600 tonight.
Can't wait for him to get that. USC on the road. They're a 6-point favorite at Arizona State. The Zags are on the road. They're a 22-point favorite at San Diego.
Got golf all day. The LPGA Tour's in Fort Myers.
But you can't go.
No, you can't. No fans allowed. Maybe next year. Hopefully they have it next year.
And to back up what Felipe said earlier, just to get a quick follow-up here, you have to go to outside the Continental 48 to get the rain totals. The first top four are all in Alaska or Hawaii. June Lake in Mount St. Helens has more rain than anywhere else in the lower 48 with 166 inches of rain per year. But once you get to this side, Mobile, a top 10 rain, about a top 20 east of the Mississippi, Mobile, Alabama with 73.4 inches of rain per year. That's the same as Niceville, Florida, for those scoring at home.
Wow, some serious research you did.
Well, he had a statement. He didn't have anything to back it up, and he just kind of threw it out there with 5 minutes left in the show. So I had to do some work while you were doing Today Was a Day When there.
Apparently, it was postponed due to weather.
They have that?
Ohio State, right. When you live in Florida, you forget that apparently those things can happen. It's winter elsewhere, Mark.
Huh.
And
Imagine that.
School was canceled in Columbus today, so I'm guessing that this was a weather cancellation between Iowa and Ohio State. Okay.
There's a bunch of early basketball games today, too. Probably the same thing. There's a handful of games that are all being played late afternoon, smaller conferences, probably for similar reasons.
So a lot of golf on TV or streaming today, because remember, they're at Pebble, so you'll get late live golf if you want it on the Golf Channel.
There's nobody playing in that tournament.
That tournament is not going to go away, but that tournament is in trouble. And the other tournament that I think we're all waiting to see is, will the field continue to stay fairly strong at Arnie's place? The Florida swing's not what it used to be. People are, maybe I'll play this one instead of and because let's face it, I mean, everybody plays the Memorial, Jack's tournament, and when Arnie was alive, Phil was the only one who he was hit and miss with playing Bay Hill.
Because he didn't like playing in Florida, period. He
Right.
hates the Bermuda Green, so he
Right.
avoided it like the plague if he could.
Right. And so everybody else just obviously they played Bay Hill. If I'm only playing one tournament in Florida,
He
I
kissed
play
the
Arnie.
ring.
Yeah, darn right. they wouldn't have a career if it wasn't for
Darn
Arnie.
right.
There'd be no PGA Tour if it wasn't for Arnie. Arnie and Jack, who in the late 60s also looked the PGA Tour right in the eyes, and they blinked to say, we're going to do this a little differently. You guys are keeping way too much money for yourselves.
It'll be a kind of football Friday tomorrow. Pat Kerwin will join us from Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl. Until then, thanks for listening. Miller and Moulton right here on the Florida Sports Network.
The Firestone Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by RP Funding, roars through the streets of beautiful downtown St. Petersburg.